If you had one shot,
One opportunity.
one opportunity.
Here you go, and that's the opener for our next podcast, and our next guest is one. I'm not gonna say an only because that's what I always say. That is the one, Mr. Lawrence in the house. What's up, my man?
What is going on? I actually, thank you. I love that we had Lose Yourself playing because I remember the night that I saw the movie. I remember it came out. I was getting high in Toronto, all alone, and just like I couldn't wait to see this movie. And I remember seeing this movie. What movie? What's it called? 8 Mile.
8 Miles, yeah.
And just like walking like late in the Toronto night downtown home to my condo and just being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking rapper.
How long was that?
How long ago was
Yeah,
that? That's like 20 years ago.
20 years ago. And you were 12? No. You're 41? No, how old are you now?
I'm 42.
You're 42, yeah, 12. 30 years ago.
20 years ago, bro. Wasn't
Oh,
I said
fuck me,
Yeah,
22. Lawrence was just giving me shit for my spelling, and now even my math sucks. Like, what else? What else? Anyways, Lawrence, listen, great that you're here.
Thank you
You're a
for
very
having
busy
me.
man. You talk a lot with your phone. Very busy.
And at my phone.
And at your phone. So just a little bit how we met. We met last year here in Canggu in Bali. And where was it?
It was our chum's birthday party.
Our chum's birthday party. Yeah.
That was the first time we met. I'd seen you on stage before.
All right.
Yeah.
You have to tell what, because I've done a lot of things on the stage. in
You were
my
doing
life.
comedy. I was like checking out the comedy scene, and there was this guy, this Latvian dude.
With horrible spelling.
The Latvian dude with horrible spelling. The Latvian Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, shit. Yeah, because I was doing the splits. That's the only thing I could do at the time. And then you are from Canada, more or less. Is that where you're from?
Toronto.
Toronto. That's not Canada.
That's Canada. That's a city.
It's a city.
It's a city in Canada.
Yeah. And then it was very interesting, peculiar for me, because your Russian was perfect. You know, more or less. When you
More or
spoke
less.
Russian, I was like, oh shit. So where you from? But then you spoke English. It was even better. So you lived.
Thank you.
you came from. How long you been now in Bali?
21 months.
Is that how you called it? Not in days.
Not in days. No, because I remember when I got here. I got here on March 15th, 2020, like right before, like right at the beginning of the pandemic. So right at the beginning, and I remember being like, "Oh fuck, if I'm here a month, then I kind of live here." And then like, oh, I can't wait till it's gonna be 2 months. Then I really live here.
Oh, shit.
I can't wait till it's gonna be Like I was counting the months to be like, I wanted to feel local. I wanted to feel like I wanted to see how long I would stay. I was living in Moscow before.
Right.
And like this was like, I mean, I'd been in Bali before, but I really wanted to transform my life. And then the world presented this amazing opportunity to do that. But I really wanted, there's a part of me like internally that wanted to ground this and make this real. And I would count the months. So I'm still counting the months. Every time the 15th of a month comes, I'm like, oh, it's my birthday.
That's interesting. Okay, I think now we can move to the section, which is about basically about you a little bit, like where you grew up, where you were raised, a little bit of your family.
Yeah, I grew up in Toronto. I was raised in the Toronto suburbs. Mostly, they're called Thornhill and Richmond Hill. Doesn't matter. But just outside of Toronto, my parents are both Soviet born. They were born in the Ukraine, but like they were like the first batch of Soviet-born people that were allowed to exit the country because they're Jewish. And there was like,
Oh, shit.
have you ever? I don't know if you know this, but I think it was Nixon and whoever the president or whatever of Russia was. He had this deal, a trade deal, where Russia needed wheat. So the U.S. gave Russia wheat, and Russia released Jews.
First of all, when you said President Nixon of Russia,
No. President Nixon and then the Russian president.
And then
like
Russian president.
Rezmanov or something.
yeah, so they had something like what it sounds other way around, reverse. Okay, and so the deal was that they would give them some
It was
wheat,
wheat for Jews.
wheat for Jews.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So that's how I ended up being born in Toronto.
Wow,
Somehow or
that
other.
is a story, man.
That's something. Yeah,
That
that's
is
a
crazy.
story.
Okay, sisters, brothers.
I have a brother and a sister. My sister is 4 years younger than me. My brother's 8 years younger than me. So I have nieces. My sister's got 2 daughters.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3. I have 2 nieces, 1 nephew.
That's
Boom.
amazing.
I'm,
Boom.
I'm better than you.
I don't know if it's a competition. Are they vaccinated? Different conversation.
Are they
It's like
vaccinated?
if they're vaccinated, it cancels it out.
Yeah,
It's
nothing
like-
about like how do they do some like sports and stuff? Are they talented? No, are they vaccinated? Shit, that's a new measurement now. And then with your sisters, so your sister and brother, they both back in Canada.
Yeah, my
or-
whole family's like still in Toronto. Like they haven't
Right.
really left. Yeah,
Cool.
it's me that's been traveling. So I was living in Toronto until I was 23, and then I moved to Vancouver, Canada, which is like the west far coast.
I lived there for 2 years. Yeah.
You lived in Vancouver?
Yeah, I lived in Vancouver for 2 years.
The 604?
604. Yeah, that's the code
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the phone number. Yeah.
What'd you
Shit.
do? What'd you do in Vancouver?
I was trying to figure out what to do with my fucking life, man.
It's a good city to figure it
I
out.
escaped Latvia. Yeah, it wasn't weed for Latvians. Unfortunately, we didn't get that deal. It's called the program called the Youth Mobility Program, and so you can get visa for a year to work and travel. And I literally just lost my job. I lost my business, and I broke up with my ex. Broke up with her after 4 years being together, and I was kind of like, I need a new page, like new chapter is about to start. But I didn't know when and how it's going to happen. And then, as they say it here, what is the word they say? When something happens when you're in life in Ubud, what did they say?
You have a synchronicity.
No,
You don't know. You're an awakening.
it just kind of arrives from nowhere. How do you say
a
it?
realization.
Realization. No, this is a different word. Anyways,
A kundalini rising.
Kundalini rising, walking,
An epiphany.
an epiphany. No, this is shit. I can't remember that word, because like they would say, this girl recently she posted something on Instagram and she says, "Oh, look at this! I manifested a new coach." So that's
You
how.
manifested Vancouver.
Yeah, and I manifested because from nowhere my friend comes in and he's like, let's go to Canada. Yeah, and I have, that it's easy to get this visa. So I went for 1 year, stayed for another year. I ended up being in Saskatoon for about like a year
I've never
almost.
been to Saskatoon, but they're nice people there. Every time I meet a Saskatchewan person, they're always awesome.
That's the thing. When I was in Vancouver and I said like I'm gonna go to Saskatoon, it's like, what is wrong with you, man?
Yeah, for sure.
Like what the
It's a-
fuck? It's
that-
minus 30, 40 degrees Celsius there.
Yeah, it's like somebody from Canggu going to Ubud, basically.
What is wrong with you? Why ain't going to fucking Ubud?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no. No, it's not. No, I don't think it's as bad. But yeah, lived in Saskatoon for a year, and 100% people are super nice. Like one thing, I was just like, what? Because I was doing door-to-door sales in minus 30 degrees. I would go from house to house, and I was peddling a cable television, Shaw Cable.
Shaw Cable,
you know
for sure,
Shaw
for
Cable,
sure.
of
I
course.
was gonna be like, is it Rogers?
Yeah, no,
it
it was Shaw Cable. They had a fucking perfect bundle, like super deal, and it was quite easy to sell it. To be honest, I was actually in about 4 months, I became one of the best sales guys in Canada.
Wow.
The reason was because I wasn't trying to sell; I was just trying to get in warm room and just talk to people.
And because you have an accent, and I think people in Canada are open to that. Like,
Especially Saskatoon, because there's a lot of people from Ukraine. Like,
boom. So
yeah,
they
yeah.
felt that Eastern European. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, he's one of us. Come right in. Chai, pichenia. Let's go.
Dude, it was even crazier. Right before Christmas, I had 3 invitations from 3 different Ukrainian families to celebrate Christmas with them.
Wow.
And I was insane because it was like I said yes to all 3 of them. One was in the morning, one was lunch, one was night. And then one of them, like this biggest Ukrainian family, and they were like crazy about. They're like, "Oh, so you speak Russian?" I was like, "Yes," and they like could say like 3 words in Russian, and I understood what they say. And like, oh my god, this is amazing! And I ended up celebrating Thanksgiving with them. Well, Canadians celebrate their own
October.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, in October.
Oh yeah. What was for Americans? What month?
November.
Was that? November.
They're a month later.
How come is it different?
I don't know how come it's different. I have no clue. I mean, everything done. I don't even know. Like I'm gonna make this up. Like I have my own like theories. Everything done in America is based on the market and economy. The Thanksgiving that happens in America is exactly 1 month before Christmas. So it's almost like. What don't they call it Cyber Monday or something like that? You know
Right.
that Cyber Monday? That's like the Monday after American Thanksgiving. So basically like the Christmas shopping season begins now. So everybody takes a day
That's
off,
insane.
get pigs out, and then they go shopping.
It's insane. I was watching, rewatching again the South Park and the Black Friday. Is it not Black Friday? Well, Boxing Friday. Was it Boxing
Boxing
Friday?
Day.
Boxing Day. Why do they call it Friday? Is it on Friday?
Good Friday is a
that's a good thing.
holiday. It's like an Easter thing.
Yeah. So it's a boxing. What do you call it?
Boxing Day. It's
Boxing
the day
Day.
after Christmas.
Yeah, so all the crazy Americans run in these stores and
Canadians too, yeah.
grabbing stuff, and people
Yeah.
literally get killed and
Yeah.
hurt and stuff.
Yeah, it's
That's
like it's like the Christmas season is over now. All the sales are they go crazy.
No, but yes, I know what I'm saying. It's because it's in the UK they call it Black Friday. Yeah, that's what I was just got confused. Black Friday, Boxing Day, and then in States it's Boxing Day. Yeah, because in UK it's not this crazy, but very similar. Also, people just standing in the queues and shit, and running for that shit.
But you lived in Vancouver. Let's go back to that for a
Let's
second.
go. Let's go.
How good was Vancouver?
Vancouver was amazing.
Like
honestly.
small city, best
Beautiful.
weed in the world,
The
best
best-
mushrooms in the world.
Those who don't know, it's called BC Bud, and BC Bud goes literally the whole North America is crying for BC Bud.
That-
And anywhere in the States, when you ask about what is the best weed, BC Bud.
BC Bud. Yeah, everybody knows that. That city changed my life.
Mm.
Changed my life. It was so good to live there. I started doing yoga there.
Mm.
I'm a yoga teacher, guys. Like, for the last 15 years, and 20 years ago, I started practicing yoga in Vancouver. My first like serious real yoga class was when I moved to Vancouver. Like within a few days,
Right.
started doing hot yoga there, and I moved there as an actor.
All right.
So I started like going like, but I wasn't like really an actor. I was a schmactor. Like, like I was like, I have a nice smile. Like, put me on TV. And there was a lot of like American TV shows, like the WB, like Smallville and stuff like that. And I was like, I look like I should be on an American TV show, but like I had no talent at all. It was just like my grandma always told me I was cute, and I was
but you
like,
don't need talent, you need confidence.
you're 100% right. I didn't have confidence.
Yeah, just need fucking confidence. And I mean, because I've been in the film industry now for 6 years as a stunt performer. Like, there's sometimes when I meet people on a set, it's just like the confidence they exude is like, oh, I done this and then, and afterwards you look at that guy, like most of that is being extra work on certain films, and then they say that they've done them. But yeah, so how did you get in acting? So before that, did you go to school, high school? What did you do for university?
At university, I went for 1 year in a school called University of Western Ontario to this program called Media, Information and Technoculture, and I was like, didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Right.
I was like, I don't like.
You went there because you just had no idea what you want to do?
I had no idea, and I was doing what everybody else was doing. It was like I graduated high school. I was playing baseball in high school. That was like my passion. I went to university because that was the next thing that like everybody at school did. Went there, and I had no learning skills. I had no attention span. Like, I was really good at watching TV back in the day. Like, I watched wrestling really good.
Yeah.
Dude, I knew everything about like what was going on in the Oscars, like Entertainment Tonight, baseball. Like, I knew everything about sports. But like, you sit me down and like tell me that like I have to read this, and then like there was no passion behind that.
Yeah.
And after 1 year, I was like, no, I'm not going back.
I can really relate to that as well. The same thing. I went to study business, but you did 1 year. I did fucking 7 years.
Did you get anything? Like, that sounds like you would integrate some kind of information.
No, 100%. I think the biggest what I got from it was dealing with people, like human relationships or people relationships, kind of. Because I would meet the crazy amount of Latvian kids who really didn't know what the fuck they want to do with their life. And they would just be in this university. And I was part of the student parliament. And student parliament was very active, organizing parties, events. That was the best time of my life. My second year, I was drunk most of the time. Very proud.
That feels to me like those are the most important life skills, like the ability to organize people, the ability to understand that you can gather and create events.
100%. And that's where I started emceeing events and parties. And that's where I also realized that I love being on stage. As a youngster, I did theater a little bit, and I did like a poetry reading, whatever they call the recitling. But then there was a university, and they had a Christmas ball, and they were like, who wants to be a MC? I was like, I will do it. And then since then, literally on that day, I got a business card from someone saying like, oh, come to our agency and we're going to hire you. And then I was starting MCing events and parties.
Cool. I like MCing too. I love hosting.
It was so much fun. So much fun. And that's also gives me a huge edge for doing stand-up. Because
100%. Yeah, you're comfortable on stage.
Yeah, I'm comfortable on stage, but also I'm comfortable to improvise. I notice very rarely stand-up comedians, they stand and go out of their material, so they're very rigid to it. Like literally last Friday, from nowhere, I thought I'm gonna change something, and it worked perfectly because I could feel that the audience would like that. I was like, let's change this one, and it was like, ah.
Yeah. I love going to improv. That's my favorite thing to do. But it's scary as shit.
Impro, I think I just didn't really get a very good experience.
Who'd you go? Here?
Well, I came here as well. It was dog shit.
Now I want to know with who.
You're never gonna find out. There was somewhere far, far north, somewhere in the forest,
With elves
with elves.
and mushrooms
Let's improvise it.
and nymphs.
I'm gonna improvise to get high and just do weird shit. No, yeah, it just didn't have a really good experience. And similar was actually with the stand-up. I tried a little bit in UK. I bombed in a sense like I wasn't prepared. I had no clue what to do. Literally, I had no like. There's some kind of so like what kind of how to write it, any of that. And then when I got in Bali, I met these guys with Chris and everyone, and I just realized actually, you know, there's a way to do it, and they were helping me, and that made a huge difference. You know,
Totally.
just looking at anything. So you moved to Vancouver and changed your life. You were 22 years old.
23 when I moved.
23. That's very important. The difference 22 and 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. And also probably the weather-wise, you fucking loved it.
Dude, Vancouver's completely different. I lived in Toronto. I moved to Vancouver. I was like, oh, it's Canada. It's going to be exactly the same, only mountains and better weather. But it was a completely different city. Toronto's like, it's like New York City a little bit in comparison to Vancouver.
Really?
There's a lot of like, yeah, everybody's like going. And like I grew up, like everybody around me was Jewish growing up. And then there was like, I was an actor in Toronto too. So there was like a gay community that was like super gay. Like my agent was like, hello, you know, like a big black guy that wanted to rape me. And I was just like, hey, I'm just like a little Jewish kid from the suburbs. And he's like, do you want to work?
Oh my God.
And then I moved to Vancouver, and everybody's like white and like, I guess we call it like waspy. Like it was just very like conservative and like very clean, and everybody was like really like well behaved. It was completely different. It was definitely a culture shock.
It's interesting for you how you see those differences. Like for me, obviously, it's very different because I'm coming from totally different background.
Right.
I was just like a fucking alien there. I'd never seen like a skyscrapers, like the tall buildings.
And there's no tall buildings.
Yeah,
in
and there's
Vancouver.
like 4 of them, 5 of them, you know. And then for me, that was like, oh my God. I had one of my first photos I ever took in Vancouver was like with a skyscraper. I was like, oh my God, look at this.
Bro, I mean, after Vancouver, not to like jump ahead, but I moved to Hong Kong, and I lived in Hong Kong for 3 years, and then I moved back to Vancouver. And at the time I was living in Vancouver, I kept getting these job offers in Sydney, and I was like, No. I'm gonna plant here. I'm gonna stay here. I don't want to move again. Like I'm gonna try and stay in Canada. And I would keep walking that like, I don't know, 3 miles. Like Vancouver's so small. Like from Canby all the way to Robson. Like it's a small city, and I just keep walking. I'm like, this is a fucking village, man. This is a
I understand.
Village is so small. And I like after saying no to Sydney twice, I was like, oh fuck this. I got to get out of here. Like I couldn't. I was there for like 2 months when I came back after years of living there.
Right. That's very interesting because after 2 years in Canada, I went to Latvia, and like in a week, I realized there's no way I'm staying here. Because for me, it was the main reason why I went and I kind of ran away to like just anywhere was that I wanted to just escape for a couple of years and just kind of free my head after all the relationship stuff. But then as I got back after 2 years, I realized this for me was massive culture shock. That was like first time
to come home.
Yeah, to come home. And also like I was still kind of not, I don't think I was still over my ex, so I was struggling with that as well. And then in 2 weeks I figured out I'm gonna go back to Canada, and then I became a student in on the Barnaby Mountain in Simon Fraser's University.
Oh, cool.
I studied journalism for a little while.
How'd that go? Like Canadian University?
It was good. It was good. I mean, like I did the IELTS test and everything. Like I think I'm partly dyslexic, so that's why I struggle with writing, and it's in any language. So I write Russian, Latvian as well, and same shit. But I think, and that's one of the reasons why I thought podcast is better for me, because I can just talk shit and get some information out. And I know, you know, anyone who listens to this is probably going to find thousands of different grammar mistakes in my language, but I don't really care.
I think it's bullshit. Like one of the things that I'm doing right now is I am not an English teacher, but because I have so many Russian students, and we'll probably get to that at some point through my yoga world, I have been doing coaching program helping Russians what I call acquire English language. And 100% of what I do, because if they want a fucking English teacher, because Russians are like, they're like studious and very academic, so they're like, we need structure, we need to know grammar, and I'm like, you're coming to the wrong guy if you want that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you be you.
Yeah.
You're gonna figure out. You need to discover your English speaking personality because, like you said about acting, you need to have confidence to make mistakes and improvise. Because the only way you can learn anything is by going, making mistakes,
And doing it, yeah.
and having like the real stress and pressure of the real moment
Yeah.
to fix it.
100%.
Yeah,
Totally
So-
agree. Totally agree. Also, in any examples, anything what I've done, any like physical like stuff in the past, I started doing gymnastics when I was 27, which is super late, and got
Crazy.
my
That
gymnastics
is
done
late.
for like a British stunt register for the certain level. Never done high diving, jumping from 10 meters in the water, not just like pencil drop, but like jump like upside down, backflips, front flips. And when I saw it first time, there's no way I can do it. But then I realized that all of those things have a system. You start with little one, you grow, but the only way to do it is to do it. You know, and like with podcasts as well, like when I started with Chris and he's like, oh, how are we going to do it? What are we doing? Listen, doesn't matter. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
And then
and-
eventually every next episode was like, oh, the camera angle was wrong. Oh, the sound wasn't right. So, and let's improve it. Let's improve it. But if we would just sit and like, oh, let's get the best equipment, like let's make everything perfect and then we're going to do it. Now we're going to happen.
It's interesting because the impression I had of you from like the few times we met is that this guy, like even the way that you wrote me that Instagram message recently when you're like, yo, I'm back in town, let's vote, you know, like you're like, let's go and bang.
I think for first 2 weeks, I was just like partying all the time because it was Christmas, it was New
I'm
Year's.
like, I don't want to hang out with this guy at all.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, he's nice. Like, he's cool. Like, I like,
That is
in
so
a
funny.
perfect world, it'd be nice to get to know him. But like, I just don't have that in me right now.
And then I'm like, come do podcasts. And you're like, what?
Yeah, but the reason I'm saying that is because it sounds like you have systemized how to get shit done. Like it's actually attractive to me to be sitting here with you right now. I'm like, oh man, this is the kind of person that I would like to work with, because basically, systematically, your system is just keep doing it, like
Yeah.
consistency.
Yeah, consistency. And one of the things is like what I noticed in Western culture, like in UK, I could see that all the time with some of the guys who would do stunts together. It doesn't matter. They love talking. Oh man, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's going to be the best. We're going to do it. And 3 weeks later, so how come we haven't done anything? Oh man, I was just busy. I was just uptight. And it's like all these bullshit excuses. And I was like, no, if you say you do something, we just do it. And then very early I realized like what people want to be surrounded with me, like around me. It was just like, you know, I can't stand bullshitters and they love just talking. Like, no, let's just do it. Stop fucking talking. Let's just do it.
That's really interesting to like go into the depth of it. It's like talking is a feminine trait. So like as much as we're talking here, there's like a sense of doing, but talking, like women love to fucking talk about nothing, right? That's why like in relationships, there's so many fights, because a man always wants to solve the fucking problem. And a woman's like just wants to share. And that's what men have to learn in many relationships, is just learn how to like just listen so she can talk, give her that runway so she can do, like she can, you know, get some momentum and like get the shit out. It's this emotional kind of processing where we as men want to we want to solve problems. But what happens, this is a really interesting thing, like if you're talking about those guys, that's a feminine trait, that these guys are just fucking like emoting. They're not really speaking anything interesting. I mean, like if they're not doing, and that's something that I learned actually when I did something called the Landmark Forum. Have you ever heard of the Landmark Forum? It's a personal and professional development organization that I started in Canada, and then when I moved to Russia, I became like one of their like main ambassadors and leaders.
Do they have some kind of like
they have
page?
a site. Yeah, it's just landmarkforum.com probably. But anyways, the reason that I brought them up, Landmark Forum ruined
Shut
my
up.
life.
Shut up. Don't comment on my spelling, you dick.
No, I'm just reading the second one. Landmark Forum ruined my life. Landmark Forum cult.
I thought you were just commenting my thing. Landmark Forum.
But what I learned from Landmark is integrity, and like what that word means, not just as like a symbol or as an idea, but what it actually means. And what it means, at least in like a Landmark, is that you do what you say you're gonna do.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, you take responsibility for the mess that happens that you didn't do it, and you do it the way that it's expected of you to do. So not like, technically I did it. No, fuck you. You do it but can we can swear, right?
Yeah, we can swear.
I just
yeah,
want
yeah.
to I just wanted
No,
to ask
100%.
that like in every podcast. Can you do
No.
you know?
This one has like 5 followers, so it doesn't matter.
Nice.
It would be really sad if
This is your most watched podcast episode.
No, what I mean, like I would be really sad if I would do a podcast where we can't swear. because it's part of
What's the
lexicon
point?
of everyday conversation. We can't say fuck, like you for real.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. So, okay, so, tell me about this 30 years of own. Also, like the other thing, what I wanted to add to it, for some reason, I see it is Western culture trait to be just to kind of talk and be part of the conversation, like that you sound that you matter. Like let's say me and you were talking about opening new business, and someone who just kind of steps in and is like, well, yeah, I was thinking about opening business as well. Like, but these things happen. It's like, why are you telling us? Like, why do?
What did you just add to the conversation?
Yeah.
Well, I want to get my 2 cents in too. Because we live in this fucking everybody gets an 8th place trophy world.
Oh my god, yeah, that's the best one.
I don't know how good that is.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
fucking, it
it's the
sucks.
greatest.
It sucks.
It's the greatest. When we're gonna start, plucking the fruits of that? I mean, we are already. There's so many people who are just feel entitled and like, how come I didn't get that attention?
Oh, I think that's a whole society. I mean, look what's going on in Canada right now. Look at what's going on, like the pandemic and what it's created in like countries like Australia and Canada. But specifically, we could talk about Canada. That is that. Like, that is everybody gets a say, and nobody's smarter than anybody else. And like, it's like society is something that's really important, that like we all are just homogenous, right? And nobody should stand out unless you're oppressed, then you should stand out. If you're oppressed, then you should stand out. If you're a
That's
minority,
incredible.
you should.
It's incredible. I mean, this is like we just opened a can of worms. Like, there's so much shit going on. I was today in sauna in
Body factor?
no, not in Battery Factory, in the other one,
Nirvana?
Nirvana. Yeah, I just joined them. I broke.
I love that place.
Yeah,
I did jujitsu there. That's the best jujitsu gym in the world. I use
Yeah.
it. I know that you go to that.
Bali MMA, yeah. I
but-
go to Bali MMA. The reason why I joined Nirvana, because I want to get into yoga, and that's another thing what we can talk
Anne-Marie
about.
is teaching there.
We can talk about this. This morning I went there, and I was the only student. And
So for Anne-Marie's class?
I don't think it was Anne-Marie.
Oh,
I don't know
who
who was it. It was at 7:45, but I was like 7 minutes late.
And you were the only student.
Yeah, and I was the only student, and she already left, but it was fine. I was like, I did some capoeira instead.
That's really weird that you would want to get into yoga, but you would go to Nirvana. I mean, there's yoga studios.
The reason, because they have so many other things, and I do still
Yeah.
gymnastics, I do parlor bars,
Yeah.
I do all that kind of thing, and also they have nice sauna, nice cold bath, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of a combination of everything, and it's right next to Bali MMA. Then so
True.
today I did my fights, my training, and then I just went straight away to the cold bath and sauna there. Okay. I think this is the first segment, dude. It's like already 30 minutes we've been rambling around.
We could ramble hard.
We're gonna ramble hard, but we're gonna ramble more just in a second.
Right?
Check this out. There's music and everything. So you said that you were involved in this landmark thing. Tell us, what is that? Keeping people accountable of what they talk.
Well, okay, this is how I got into it. I've been in the yoga world for now 20 years, like I said, and the guy who created Lululemon, do you know Lululemon? You
I
do.
heard
You're
of it,
from
yeah.
You're from Vancouver. You know Lululemon.
Yeah.
Lululemon is probably the biggest yoga wear company in the world, and
Yeah.
it was founded in Canada and Vancouver. And something that they did amazing was their marketing was right to, like, they knew their market, and they like would be like, what intention are you gonna set? Do something that scares you every day, and they would implement the owner of Lululemon did Landmark. I think he built Lululemon based on the Landmark structure. So
Yeah.
Landmark was interwoven with the whole Canadian yoga culture because Lululemon was such a big part of it. Now, with that said, because everybody was doing it, I stayed the fuck away from it because I was just like, this is just too creepy, and like, why would I go there? Then, when I was living in Toronto, after I was living in Russia at some point, didn't talk about that at all yet, but I was living in Russia, moved back to Canada for a couple of years, and when I was there, I had a girl call me and be like, you really need to do this seminar. Trust me, it's going to change your life. And I was like, okay, fuck off. And she was like, no, you really need to. And I was like, come on, fuck off. But it planted a seed in my head, and I ended up doing it. And
Persistence.
Yeah.
She had one. She had persistence.
it worked. But here's the thing about it is when I went into the seminar, I already have such a self-development and spiritual education from all my years of yoga and all my self-help reading and what have, all the other stuff that I've done, and like my love of Tony Robbins and stuff like that. And I went in there and I was like, finally I'm hanging out with people who are into personal development that aren't yogis. So they were like business leaders. They were like entrepreneurs. They were people that were just trying to figure out their life. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is like a spiritual journey for the normal person. It's not like, okay, now I'm going to like go vegetarian and I'm going to like go to India and I'm going to pray to God. It was like, I want to make the world a better place through action. So it really spoke to me. So I did the first seminar, and they have a process of pretty much taking responsibility for your life. And taking responsibility for your life means that everybody you've ever fucking blamed is actually your responsibility. So you go into this process of, who do I have what they call a racket against, like a story that like, that fucker doesn't give me the opportunity to do what I want to do. That person's a bitch. And then you find a way to access them and apologize to them for creating a story in your head that they were standing between you and whatever it is that was really important for you. And literally some of the language that they use is you create a new possibility for the relationship. And what that does is it releases all kinds of limited belief systems.
Yeah. I totally can agree. This, I mean, like when I was stuck in Canada, not stuck, but when I got there, I had this very interesting window of time where I was actually let go for this company, but they were still keep paying me because it was kind of their fault. Basically, they fuck up. And then I was just stuck in a basement, and I was reading all these self-development books. And one of the first things was like, about how we tend to always find and blame someone else, with our issues. Why we don't do this? Oh, because someone else. And that is such a thing, and that is a part of mentality and part of the reason why I kind of ran away from Latvia. Because after 2 years, also reading all the books and kind of meeting people and going there, and almost all of my friends I would meet, and they're like, oh, I'm unhappy with this. And I was like, why are you unhappy? Oh, well, because of that happened and this happened and someone else's fault. Why don't you just leave? Why did you just start a new chapter? I'm a perfect example. Yeah, but you're crazy. Yeah, you slept on the floor for how long? And you did door-to-door sales. I don't want to do that. But then one guy told me, like, sometimes a little bit of discomfort can bring you a lot of, amazing experience and things what you actually want to do. And people are so afraid of, that stupid expression of getting out of their comfort zone and stuff like, but everyone knows that.
I mean, we're all afraid of that.
Yeah, of course we are.
On some level, right? I know that I've chosen getting out of my comfort zone a lot, and it's led to a lot of growth. I also know that choosing it as a normal everyday thing can also just be self-abuse. But in terms of like, most people are just comfortable in their coziness. I do not want to leave that which is comfortable. And a lot of times that which is comfortable is like my group of friends who are I am comfortable in being low vibration, as we would say in Ubud. Just like, oh, these people are so negative, but it's my home. This is my home. I'm home around those that make me feel like shit. You know why? Because I don't have to make myself feel like shit.
Oh, wow. That's something. That is something. It's just like, well, what do I say? So you went to Russia after 23 years living in the UK, in Canada. So you were 23 when you moved to Vancouver. How long did you stay in Vancouver?
I was in Vancouver till 2007. Then I moved to Hong Kong.
Okay.
So I was 23. So I was at 4 years in Vancouver, and then another 3 years in Hong Kong.
What happened? Why did you move to Hong Kong for 3 years?
I was acting in Vancouver, schmacting. Which, like, I was so shitty and it was getting so little success at it that I started writing and doing spoken word.
Oh, okay.
Which really kind of like moved me away from acting and I guess like moved me towards directing and writing. But at that time, simultaneously, I was getting yoga opportunities, and my yoga crew was just much more inspiring than my acting crew. My acting crew at the end of acting would go like drinking, while my yoga crew would smoke joints and do like ayahuasca. And I was like, I want to have those conversations. Those are more
100%.
interesting to me, right?
Also, wanted to add something too. When you said about like the self-development and all this kind of concept, I never even thought that yogis, like yoga people, would go to that route. Like I always heard that from the business route. So when I went to Canada and I was exposed to door-to-door sales guys, so they would be every morning they would have these inspiring speeches, and everyone has to prepare some kind of quotes, writing out them from books where they would be reading about like, yes, keep yourself accountable, blah blah blah, all these kind of things. And then it's funny that you come from totally different roots, so the yogis would talk about those things. It's very interesting for me.
It's interesting to me because I think I'm only now being drawn towards business as an interest point through the same roots because I step in there so easily because of the yoga stuff. But I never actually understood that from that point of view. And it's cool that you say that. And that's what I got from Landmark. I was like, look at all these people that are looking to grow and to expand. They were just using a little bit more mundane language, not like expand consciousness. They were expanding their possibilities. But it was really inspiring, and I used them both. And I moved to Russia fresh off of doing that programming, and I used all of that programming in my yoga teaching. Like I would inspire thousands of Russians being like, what possibility are you going to create for yourself today? What responsibility are you going to take that you've been blaming for other people? They were like eating it all up because in Russia, they're very yoga traditional. They go very much into like the Indian stuff, and like that was never interesting to me. I'm like hardly a yogi.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, and then so your parents, what did they do, or do they still do, or did, or they?
My dad, for many years, had a knitting factory. He had this big factory, and he was doing really well in the 80s, and then there was some recession and it went bankrupt, and that was an interesting part of my life because I was like 12, 13 years old, and all of a sudden we went from like driving a Mercedes to driving my grandfather's like big brown Buick. It was a house repossessed, and like identity from being like the rich kid to like embarrassed like of like my mom's car. Yeah, that's a whole
I had no problem with that because my mom didn't have a car.
You see what happens?
Yeah, I would be riding in the back of the bicycle.
I mean,
so much easier.
Contrast, so much easier. You're not having to deal with that. Yeah. Like when identity is like born with a silver spoon, and then all of a sudden it's like taking it all away.
Oh wow! And your mom, what did she do?
My mom has been working for a long period, like decades, for this company called Electrosonic, where she does like different accounting and ordering. So they're like this huge corporation that buys and sells different electric parts, batteries, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So your mom also always worked, so she wouldn't be like...
For the most part.
3 kids, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, the majority of my life she worked, yeah. She still works. She's like on the verge of 65. That's her retirement. She's waiting for that moment. But I mean, for the last 2 years, she's been 99.9% of the time working from her kitchen table.
Oh, shit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she likes it. She's like drinking her coffee, eating her like nuts, and like feeding my dog. And
so what do your parents think about you? What do you do?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, they've come to terms with it, I think. My dad the other day was like, Lawrence, when are you already going to come home? It's already time, no? And I'm like,
does he speak English with you?
Yeah. He speaks English. They're just more used to. I only started speaking Russian with them after my Russian experience.
Oh, right.
Because nobody knew that me, my brother, and my sister were Russian until they came home to our family, like into our house, our home. And they would see our parents and then be like, hello, Lawrence. As a child, my parents would speak to us for sure in Russian. It'd be like, Mom, I'm just going to baseball. Larechik, сразу иди домой, надо кушать завтрак. And I was like, Mom, can you please... Like, I was so embarrassed about the Russian roots. I just wanted to be like everybody else, eat pizza and hot dogs for dinner.
Lawrence just said that, you have to come home and eat whatever.
Like breakfast or
something.
Breakfast, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. It is interesting to see that how, you know, some of these families emigrate to different countries, and they keep their roots and their traditions and their languages and stuff.
Dude,
I never really experienced that as a kid.
Dude, not only that, listen to this. So I grew up in a Russian house, but everything outside of my Russian house was Canada.
Yeah.
Like, I barely had Russian speaking friends, like very few. The Russian community was my parents, my extended family, like grandmother, grandfather, cousins, and maybe my parents' friends, and maybe the kids of their friends. But like, I didn't spend a lot of time in that world. I was more at school and like hanging out with my friends. How old was I when I went to Russia for the first time? Like 32 or something like that. 2011. I went to Russia for the first time. I go into a cafe, and the woman goes to me, she goes to me, "Kukulka, что ты хочешь кушать?" Which isn't it like if I translated, "Hey doll, what do you want to eat?"
Yeah.
But there's something in Russian called umenshение laskatina.
Yeah,
Umenshение means shortening, and laskatina means like gentle. And like they do that with names, and they make these cutesy variations. I had only experienced my grandmother and my mom talk to me like that before. And all of a sudden it was just this like flash in front of my eyes. It's a whole fucking nation. So the dysfunctional that was in my household growing up was it's the whole country of Russia. Or
Yeah.
even the extended like beyond just Russia, like the former Soviet Union.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like
Yeah.
I totally can relate to that. I think in English it's called diminutive.
Yeah.
When they say use those like soft spoken, or when they change your word. In Latvians have the same thing, like Latvian and Russian.
But that realization, that thing that was like an inside joke, so to speak, at home,
It's a
was
real
a
thing.
whole nation. It's crazy, and that's what I love about Russia is like it's dysfunctional. I don't know a country that's more dysfunctional, and they accepted me because I grew up in a Russian household. I'm dysfunctional, and all of
What
a sudden,
sense you mean dysfunctional?
well, like in Canada, you have to be appropriate. Like you can't say the wrong thing, or you're going to be canceled for it, so to speak, in like modern language. Like you have to like don't raise your voice and no anger and no aggression. Like that's unsafe. That's unsafe. Like as a kid in Canada, I would put my hand around a girl like on the like walking home from school and be like, "Hey, baby," like just trying to be funny and like see if I can like. That was like rape.
So it's like the boundaries. Like you have to know.
Strong boundaries in Canada. In Russia, I could freak out. Like I could have a temper tantrum in public.
No
and
one would give a fuck.
People just accept you for who you are.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
that is cool.
It's
That is
cool.
cool.
And from a personal development point of view, you get a chance to get it out. So you get a chance to like integrate that. Like it's our anger and our aggression and our violence. They need a place to integrate. They need a place to get out of our system. Like you get it. I got it in jujitsu. Or in other places. Like the majority of the population don't get it out. So what happens is everybody's appropriate in the West, and then they end up like doing some fucking crazy shit in the background.
Well, I think like in Eastern European countries, the sports is the biggest one. Like, and that's why all the kids, and that's why you see also more healthier kids back home, like back in all these countries. Because then as soon as you have some kind of issue, whatever, you just go do sports. Like my dad was alcoholic. Like at home would be always fights and shit. So I would be staying at school as long as I could to do all these sports, so I don't have to deal with this crap. So yeah, the physical kind of stuff, and to this day, I think it's the best thing ever to go and do a workout, and it's not only physical but mental as well. Huge.
Yeah, agree with you.
Huge stuff. Okay, let's get to some business. Tell us about what do you do now? What is that? What do you do now? So you started with yogis, and then you got kind of in a self-development. Sorry. So you what was the reason you went to Hong Kong?
I went to Hong Kong to teach yoga. I got a job working for the biggest yoga studio in the world called Pure Yoga.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was a trip. I just wanted to go to Hong Kong. I had a friend that was a director of that program. I did my first teacher training there. And the city was just like, whoa, this city is so cool. Because it's like super modern. And at the same time, it's like historic, And it's not China. I don't know if you've been to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong isn't China. It's a Western city. I mean, now things are changing. But it felt very modern. There's so much money running through that city. It's amazing. It's the most efficient city in the world. It was really, really cool. It was a really cool experience. So that's why I went there. I worked for the yoga studio, which is at the end of the day, it was a huge corporation that I worked for. And I was like, as they were building their brand, before they had trained local teachers, they were bringing in foreign teachers to like get their quality of what they were doing to be higher. I was one of those teachers. But that opened up a world of networking.
And 3 years, why 3 years? Why didn't you stay longer? Or
well, I left the big company and I started working on my own. And I just think that like for a personality like myself to be in a structure like that is really challenging because I have all these creative ideas and I'm like working all the time. They had us working like 16 to 20 classes a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of yoga
That's
classes.
a lot of yeah.
It's lot of yoga classes. So they had us teaching, which is why I became really good at it because I had nonstop practice. It's like if I partied all night long, I would teach at 7 a.m. You know, like if I was sick, I would teach. So you just get good at that stuff. This is before the COVID era where if you have the sniffles, you don't go to work. You know, so and I left. I left because my contract wasn't extended. After 3 years, my contract wasn't extended, I think because...
Too much partying.
No. I was dating this hot woman named Raven that was like... she's half Asian, half English, and her ex-husband was like somebody that was like prominent in the community.
Shit.
And the owner of the yoga studio was friends with him. And he saw me and her together one time. And like within days, I hear... yes, we're not gonna renew your contract, which was still a cool opportunity because I still had 6 months left in my contract, and knowing that there was an end, I really got to push some boundaries because I was like, I'm getting fired anyways. Like, there's nothing. So it really took my teaching to another level. With that said, I stayed in Hong Kong for a little bit, and when I stayed in Hong Kong, I started doing my own stuff. I was making more money really fast, teaching privates and doing my own programming, and then I moved to Bali.
Straight away from Hong Kong?
I got an opportunity to go to Bali and live here in Canggu and work at a place called Desaseni, which was like the only yoga studio in 2011 here. And it was a really awesome opportunity, and I liked the idea, and it was probably financially a shitty idea because in Hong Kong, like I was in a major city where people had more money than they knew what to do with, and I came into a tourist town that was still growing, and I didn't have the foresight. If I stayed in Bali, everything would have been great. But like I didn't have the foresight to be like, this place is growing. I just saw it as a place where like there was no system. I didn't know how I was going to grow. And I really wanted to grow. So I ended up moving from there back to Canada. And that's when I told you the story about like I couldn't stay in Vancouver. And I ended up moving from there to Sydney and then Russia. So I had a couple of like stops on the way. But
that's awesome. How long did you stay in Sydney?
I was there for about a year.
I
loved Sydney.
Sydney is beautiful.
I loved
haven't
Sydney.
been there. But
I loved Sydney. It's a very pompous town for the most part. Like it's very pretentious. The locals tend to have like really deep connections with themselves, right? So all of my friends were basically foreigners, you know, like people like us, like expats, which was beautiful too. And Sydney's a really chill place, like energetically, like everybody's just casual. So I was like dating a lot of girls at the same time, like really getting this opportunity to like sow my wild oats and like whatever the fuck. I never said that term before. Sow my wild oats.
what was that? So my what?
Well, just like I got the opportunity. Can we erase that? That's embarrassing.
No.
Okay.
That's
fuck.
all it stays in.
I got like I was dating 3 girls at the same time, like that kind of stuff, and honest with them about it, like you know.
Yeah. So and they were cool with it.
I don't know if they were all cool with it, but
Never waited till they
but
answered. I was gone by the time they said no.
No, I don't know if they were cool with it, but like they accepted it for what it was. And then with that same mentality, I moved to St. Petersburg, Russia, to open a hot yoga studio. Dating multiple girls in Russia doesn't work.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's a lot more like ownership of
Did
you.
did some of them try to kill you when you
Yeah,
said like
it
I'm
was
dating
just-
3 other girls at the same time?
Yeah, it didn't work. I thought that like I was like, oh, polygamy, that's my thing.
Yeah, so you moved to
And they were
St.
like,
Petersburg.
Yeah,
Okay, in 3 years. How long did you stay there?
I was there for about 3 years. Yeah.
As well. Nice. 3
Have you been to St.
313. I grew up about 80 kilometers away from the Russian border. Never been in Russia in my life.
Oh, dude.
It's insane. But I also like because well, first of all, I've never been attracted to go to Russia. I'm
I
like
can understand that.
I live with those fucks here. Like I have
Yeah.
Russians everywhere.
It's not like that though. It's not like
No,
that.
no, that's the thing. I actually found, because my sister, she went to do in Latvia. It's a huge to do the folk dancing, like traditional dancing. So I did like three like the national festivals, and my sister, she did, and then they had some offer. There was a kind of exchange or like a friendly program in with Russians, so that they would these people from different countries would do their traditional dancing. And then my sister, she got back. She said, like, I met some Russians. I would never think of how cool they were, how nice they were, and like it's just totally different story. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, it's because. Yeah, the ones who we got here in Latvia, they're just special.
Well, I think the ones that we have in Bali are special too.
Yeah.
I think that once you leave Russia, you get hit with this huge hit of ego.
I don't know. We were talking about this actually. Pavel, who does stand up
Yeah.
as well, he was one of our guests. Was like episode 5. We were actually just literally me and Chris were asking, what do you think? Why do you think Russians have this kind of rap, this kind of stereotype going on around here in Bali? And two things. One thing what I thought was that very often their English is not very good, so they're quite shy and they kind of get closed and they get kind of self-conscious about it.
I think that's very
and
true.
then they throw this kind of like, oh, how dare you talk to me, like that kind of thing. But the other thing, what
So true.
it is true, right? And
There's a defensiveness that comes because they're super sensitive.
yeah. Defense mechanism straight away is on. Like they're all like kind of guard is up and
Yeah.
like what is going on. That's one thing. And the other thing, which is also related with the same thing, is that also what Pavel said. Russians in general, especially the ones we have here, majority. Obviously, there's some amazing Russians, like But
Yeah, but they don't hang out with Russians. The amazing Russians don't hang out with Russians.
So going back to the idea, so what he said basically, most of them have no experience of traveling. Most of them never really lived anywhere abroad, so they don't really have that understanding how other cultures work. And then with their understanding in Russia, everything. It's quite tough. It's kind of a jungle. The strongest survives. The biggest asshole survives. How to get the nicest car, be a dick kind of thing. And then that's what they bring with them. And because also, like, if you think about it, historically, like, when Russians start traveling, when was it like okay to go abroad and to do stuff? And even to nowadays, like in UK, Europe, for Russia, it's very difficult to get there because of the visa restrictions.
For some Russians.
Yeah, so
some
it's-
Russians Russia seems to be the freest northern hemisphere country in the world right now, but that's a different conversation. But I do agree with you that it's not that it's hard for them to get a visa.
It's difficult, but because like if you're part of EU, for Latvian, Lithuanian, Estonian, not anymore. It was so easy to go to UK, where you're going to be exposed to all these other cultures.
Yeah, but who cares about UK, Italy, France? Like you can still do that. Like that hasn't changed. It's just the
That's
UK 's
true,
closed
but
down.
like especially if we're talking about the Western culture, about
Right.
English language.
Yeah.
So for Russians, it's very very difficult to get there. So and like when I. As a stuntman, I'm one of the 4 only stunt performers on a British stunt register, which is about 400 people who speaks Russian. So
Oh, really?
it's me, 2 Lithuanian guys, actually 3 Lithuanian guys, and 1 Russian guy who actually from Russia, but he is there because of his family moved and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So they were like coaching gymnastics, and so whenever time, like even now, actually today I need to do a self tape for one production where they wanted me to speak English with the Russian accent, but also just Russian. And it's like my agent just messaged me. Is like most likely you're gonna get the job because there's not a lot of people, especially in UK, who speak Russian. So
I should go and be a stuntman in the UK.
Yeah, you
For
should.
the Russian jobs.
Exactly. Easy. Yeah, that could be like one of my first jobs was I was working with Samuel L. Jackson, Ryan Reynolds on The Kidman's Bodyguard, and they hired me as a stuntman who can speak Russian. I ended up just acting, just doing my Russian bit, and from there I got like 3 or 4 more jobs like Vikings. On Vikings, I've done speaking parts. Some on Mission.
All on Russian.
Sorry.
All on Russian.
No, on Vikings was funny. They hired me as a Russian speaker, but then on the day they were like, "No, just speak English with Russian accent."
Okay.
Why would he assume straight away that someone who can speak Russian can do actually a Russian accent in English?
You can though.
Well, the thing is, like as most of them assume, because most of the Russian speakers, their English is not very good, and
Yeah.
they sound like they have an accent. And then I open my mouth like the way I speak, and
Yeah.
they're like, And then I was like, okay, sorry, I will go back to the Russian
Hello,
accent.
how are you?
Yeah,
It's
how are-
good to be here on set. Where's my rider?
Yes, but it's very like over the top, you know.
It's, you know what, I talk like this very much, and I think it's over the top, but everybody who listens think it's the real deal.
You're doing this like little thing with your.
Yeah,
It's like, no, Russians should be open.
I'm a Jewish Russian. That's why. You know, I'm Ukrainian. But yeah, hello. It's like the video I made you, blah.
I need to turn down with your mic. It's gonna blow up. But yeah, no, it's hilarious to watch sometimes the American films or just Hollywood films.
It's horrible.
The big
Like,
productions
there's
when
not
they have.
Russians on those films usually.
Yeah,
You can
it's
just tell. It's like,
crazy. But the thing is, like, how many people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, how dare you?"
only the Russians.
Yeah.
Which is a growing market. Hello.
Yeah, it's a big market. Actually, Vikings is huge now in Russia. There's this big, actually Russian actor who was part of Vikings as well.
Oh yeah.
Pretty interesting guy. But then yeah, he wasn't actually a very nice guy.
Yeah. Fuck him. He's Russian.
Yeah, he was probably like in the beginning. He's like, "Oh, nice, you speak Russian. Good for you."
Yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck off. That kind
You know
of
how many
stuff.
times my heart's been broken? Like, I'm just like, because I'm so open-hearted. It's the same feeling if you live in Russia, you leave Russia. This is what I used to say. I used to say, the best part of living in Russia is leaving Russia. Truth. Because like Russia is like rusty, it's dirty, it's just dark. And then you leave and you're like, oh, Amsterdam, best city in the world. Oh, London, oh my God, it's so bright and clean and everybody's so polite. Then you come back to Russia and like you're like, oh, diddly dum, it's so good to be back. Здравствуйте, как дела?
And they were like, "Fuck
And
off."
they're just fucking like, yeah, they fuck off. They're like so unimpressed with you. And that hurts my heart.
Yeah,
Like, it's
but also the other thing is like there's an
stonewalled.
envy, there's a jealousy going on there as well. Like, oh, who the fuck you think you are
To be happy.
Yeah,
How dare you
Yeah,
fucking be
exactly.
happy.
And also like when I went back to Latvia after those 2 years, and now even now when I got back, I just get that sense all the time. So if I hang out with my friends who I haven't seen in a while, it's cool. But then they will be like some of their friends like who I never met, and they're like, oh, you live in England, yeah, oh fuck yeah. It's like whatever, fuck off kind of thing. Well, go back to your England.
They just feel shitty about themselves.
Yeah, so
Fuck them.
but that's
You don't want to hang out with those people anyways.
Oh,
It's
exactly.
a good filter. It's a good filter.
100%. But like what I do as a personality type, I usually adjust to the situation.
Yes.
So I kind of go along with their thing.
Fuck that. Not anymore. You did that.
I
Not
don't know.
anymore,
I know.
motherfucker.
Exactly.
I mean, there's definitely places where that works, where you have to do it. But like that kind of behavior, I'm good at it too. Like that chameleon, like that also gets you into a lot of situations where you end up taking on so much stress and pressure of things that you don't need to do in life. Like you don't need to hang out with those fucking assholes when they're showing you that they are not going to be open to your fucking genius.
Of course, that's how I usually think about my genius. But no, I'm in a very great place in my life where I know. It's like when someone says like, "Do you know who you want around you?" I know who I don't want around me. It's very simple. As soon as I feel that someone is wasting my time, I'm not growing with those people, I'm not developing in some certain way, there's no point.
Yeah.
That's it. And now it becomes organically. Back in the days, I would say like I would still kind of hang out with them and whatever, like, you know, but then I was just like, no, see ya.
Have you ever dated a Russian woman?
No.
Good for you.
I actually never dated a Russian girl. Some friends I had Russian girls, whatever, but last year when I came to Bali, I went on a couple of dates here in Bali. Jesus Christ. Like, some of them were kind of even like a little bit nice and whatever, but that whole thing about, you know, not paying for yourself and that the guy has to look after you, it's just like
It's
this
so
kind
in
of,
your face. It's so right off the bat. I mean, you have to respect them. They're straightforward with that, you know?
What do you mean straightforward with that? That
Well, like,
the
it
guy
doesn't-
should be taking care of you?
Yeah, like they don't wait very long for that to become an obvious thing. Like if you're not ready to deal with that, then like you're gonna have the relationship's gonna have trouble from the get go.
Yeah, but I think it's quite sad just to have that thinking, that type of thinking that if you take me out, you pay for my shit. And then, so what do you give me in return? I allow you. And, you know, that's where you're like,
I allow you.
yeah, I allow you.
I allow you to take me out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they'll also say, you know how expensive it is to be this beautiful? The nails, the hair, the dress. They'll say things like that. I think.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, but I would go straight away like, do you know how expensive is this?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many hours of gym I'm spending and stuff?
I just broke up with a girl that
I'm gonna put that as an excerpt. I just broke up with a girl.
I just ended it with a girl who I met. I go to ecstatic dance in Ubud. I fucking love that.
I have a stand-up comedy bit about ecstatic
I
dancing.
fucking love that shit.
It's the
bro.
best.
That is my favorite.
It's the
fucking
greatest.
place. That is my fucking church, man.
You
I
hook up
fucking-
with all the weirdos there.
I fucking do contact improv dance, man. I dance, and sometimes it's sexy, and sometimes it's rough, and whatever, you know. I ask for consent, and it all works. And I met this girl, and we danced like real nice, and we danced a couple of times. And she's a vegan chef, and I did not see that as a red flag. And and she's Russian, and like I was like, you know, like I'm willing to get to know you. Let's get to know you, but like, it didn't work.
I was like, where's the story? It didn't work. I don't know. I like Russian girls have the best resting bitch face I ever seen.
Yeah, but that's not what you date. You
It's
don't date
it's-
somebody based on their resting bitch
It's
face.
always
I
this-
fucking hate resting bitch
I can
face.
see them by a mile. Like when someone says like
You're like,
oh,
Russian.
what nationality do you think that girl is? Duh, Russian.
Dude, you're not alone in being able to see them from a
It's
mile
just
away.
like it's crazy, and maybe it's like 1 out of 1,000 would like to change my mind, but that's most of the cases. You know, like I go do actual dancing in a Just Dance studio here in Bali, the hip hop, you know, contemporary.
Love that.
There's a concept of that dancing, you know.
Yeah.
Just comparing with ecstatic dancing.
Yeah, I love ecstatic dance though because that's more of an emoting process.
Yeah.
It's like, "Ah!" you know, it's like, is that too loud? Sorry about that. But that's what it is. That's more of an emoting process. Like when you're learning hip hop, you're learning like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like you're learning a craft. Ecstatic dance is more of like,
But you can go wow with the sense of rhythm.
once you get it, you can't do it from the beginning. You have to 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6. Once you're at 16 counts and you've done it repetitive
Then you can
times,
do, "Wah."
then you can go wow, and then it's fucking beautiful, and that's what everybody loves to watch on TV. Don't get me wrong, but like, or the Korean.
Just be
hip-hop
honest.
thing.
Ecstatic dancing is just for people who don't know how to fucking dance and they have no sense of rhythm.
I think I fucking know how to dance.
Is that just like you just thought that you're a good actor?
I am a good actor. It just took me practice. It took me practice. Today, I'm a great actor. So it takes time, right, to be able to embody things. I think I don't know. Look, ecstatic dance is also for people who can't dance.
At least we got to some kind of conclusion. Now, I don't want to shit on ecstatic dancers. I went to a couple of them, and some of
Dude.
them you can see that someone can actually dance,
Come this weekend.
no doubt. But there are some people just, and that it's. I don't want to shit on them as well because they just have a good time.
Bro, it's
Who's
the
to
best.
say how do I have a good time?
It's the best in
that's cool.
Ubud. You can't do it in Canggu. You got to go in Ubud. It's like world class ecstatic dance. It's this like tribal vibe, and the girls show up with their feathers in there, you know, and everybody's like getting hot and naked and sweaty. And if you're you know like careful, you might be able to like slip some psilocybin and go to the next level.
Oh shit!
And then all of a sudden, it's not like going to like a bass show or like one of those techno shows because you'll get that, but you also get this like quiet, soft, spiritual thing at the end, you know, and
Oh
everybody's
god, I just got wet a little bit.
yeah, I just feel like God's with
On
you.
that note, we're gonna finish this segment. Okay, Lawrence.
Lorenzo!
How does your parents call you?
Lawrence. Lawrence. Sometimes they would call me Lorenchik.
Do you mind just turning your chair a little bit so you can be like more facing that camera as well?
I was
And then
aware.
you can come with me as well. There you go. That's the one. Not too much. You can just go a little bit back. There you go. A little that's called ecstatic dancing here in Renard's Villa. So yeah, your parents would call. How would they call you?
Lorenchik.
Larenchik.
That's like umenshenie.
Umenshenie, yeah.
Diminutive.
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 Yeah. So how would they say if they're angry at you?
Lawrence. Like that.
Do you live with fucking hulks?
Dude,
Jewish hulks in the
Jewish
house.
hulks.
Oh my
Ты
god.
сосаешь наш кровь.
Oh god. So what do you do right now at the moment in Bali? You've been here now. You said 20. How many months?
Over 21 months, almost 22, almost 2 years.
20, almost 2 years. So, and as I understand, you doing coaching. What kind of
I'm
coaching?
coaching.
Do you
I'm
do?
doing online coaching. So I work with Russians. I started off doing group coaching programs for English. So acquiring English. So Russians come to me and I put them through a self-development program, self-expression program to get them to acquire English the way that kids acquire language. So it's not happening through like studying and hard work, but it's happening through passion, purpose, through like, как мы говорим на русском, действия, through goals and action. So that's one thing. And then just by being in the coaching space, I started working with women on intimacy issues and relationship stuff. So that just happened naturally because a lot of the women that would come with me to me initially for English would be like, what's the thing that you want more than anything English for? And they wanted to meet a foreign man so they can get out of that, that structure and that pattern of like dating the same kind of man. They saw more for themselves. So that's one thing. And then I also work with men. And when I work with men, I work specifically on their coaching. So men who are becoming coaches, I work with them specifically on how to start and build a coaching career, how to market it organically, how to create the habits so it happens, and also how to take your own personal genius, like the thing that you do, because we're all experts in something in comparison to somebody else, and take that, package it, and go with that.
And if we are not experts, then there's certain ways to figure out what could you be in an expert, and just to find that, again, to maintain that consistency and that you're going to be doing that. Because at the end of the day, like honestly, like even a couple of days ago, we were talking about how some people who are not very talented in certain things actually can be amazing just with a sheer hard work. But then he was like, well, what is talent? Is talent just commitment and saying that this is what I want to do? Or, because I've seen a lot of guys who have amazing natural talent and then they just throw it away.
Well, I think that you said it at the beginning when you were like, there's a system to everything, and if you just keep going at it one bit at a time. So the people with natural talent aren't necessarily the best coaches. They don't have the time, the space, or the patience for it. But here you are as a good example of like, I hear your story and I'm like, I want to hang out with Nars because I know that if I get into something with you, you're going to stay consistent with it because you have a history of staying consistent. So what is that? That's habits. That's a habit of like, I start something and I start to go at it every day.
One of my favorite words in English is credibility.
Yeah.
When we build credibility, and it's, like it comes originally from news and from journalism. So then how can you trust that source, whether it's credible or it's not? But humans were exactly the same. Like how often you meet someone and like, you're not credible. Where does this come from? Like, I don't trust you. You know, like
you feel the lack of authenticity and depth and grounded in what they actually do. Experience. Ultimately.
Exactly. Let's talk more about what you do. So when you said about acquired English, that is amazing. Like I would love to have that in school when I was a kid, because obviously we were going by the book and stuff like that. One of the more like acquired English things what we did was every day if you're late for the class, and I was always late for the class, so I would be, I am sorry, I am late. May I take my place? But it was like more like, I am sorry, I am late. May I take my place?
Yeah, but look, and you're probably the best English-speaking person in that whole program because you were mostly late.
And that lady, she's like proper Russian, and she would teach us like, the cat, the tree, the apple, Renar. So what is this?
I know. That's the thing
amazing.
that really fucks with me all the time, because all these Russian-speaking English teachers.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, what?
Oh, shit.
But when Russians come to me, they're like, I want English-speaking person. And I'm like, look, I'm an English-speaking person, but I'm not going to be your English teacher. I'm not sitting with you and like having any conversations about like anything to do with grammar.
Exactly. How do
punctuation.
you start teaching them expressions and like, because one thing they have to understand, like, I would like to learn English, but I want to learn it with the accent, like with the American accent or British accent, whichever is the choice. In your case, it's Canadian accent, which is very similar to American accent. So then you'll be like, I would like to learn that kind of English. So, because I started learning, first time ever learned with American accent, it was when I met these two Mormons in freaking Riga. I was just walking down the street, and one of them approached me. Oh, can you tell us where this bus, whatever? And then we just start talking. Then they're like, oh, would you like to come and learn about Jesus Savior and stuff? I was like, no, guys, I'm cool. But
that would have been a great way to learn English.
Yeah, but how about we do this? And that's how they were getting the kids in. They were like, oh, we're going to teach you English, but then you're going to stay and learn about Jesus Savior. And I said, I'm shitty Catholic, and that's where I'm going to stay. But instead, we're going to do exchange. I will teach you Russian and Latvian. You guys teach me English. And they looked at each other. They're like, Okay, sounds good. And then for the next like whatever month, we were just hanging out, and 1 hour would speak Russian, Latvian, and 1 hour would speak English.
And it worked.
Yeah, and it worked perfectly because then I was like, so how do you guys say this? How do you say this? Oh well, that's how we pronounce it, and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, one of like that video that we have up that I showed you, like
Yeah.
it's just me. This is an interesting conversation for us to have outside of this, but I'll lead there too. It's so I write poetry. I did a little stand-up comedy too, and one of the things that has always in my acting like been detrimental, my Achilles heel, is the memorization of text.
Right.
It's something that's always been challenging. I think I also have that dyslexia in terms of like how do I
Yeah.
make things up and how do I make things stick is what I wanted to say. And what I've realized in this new process of like I've been writing a lot and now I'm looking to put it on stage and perform it, not like from reading but from just being in my body because it's a whole other life that is added to it, is that I need to put pictures to it. I need to like put feelings to it. I need to add narrative. Like there has to be story to it.
That makes total sense, and I can totally relate to that because I really struggled to learn texts as a kid. I would need to learn for like poetry, whatever, and I could read. This is the thing: you can read a million times, doesn't stick. How do we do that? And my mom, from a very early age, you need to create associative memory, and that's how I learned English as well.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and like associative memory, like how does it sound like? How does it? Oh, this and then it just start making perfect sense. Like right now in stand-up as well, because I'm writing some of my material, it just goes like 2 A4 pages. You're not gonna memorize it word by word, but then you kind of read it, but then you take certain words out, making smaller. Now I usually have 2 copies. One is with the full thing, and the other one I leave only the main important words. And then as I go through, I just build stuff around. Most of the time I improvise, but then when I get better at it, so I realize I actually learn the whole thing and I actually go word by word, which is insane. How the hell
long
did
does
I
it
do it?
take you usually to go from like new material to comfortable?
It's difficult to say that because some new material is certain things and stories which sticks in my head so much easier. Also, it's a language where you hear certain things like I would write and the language is quite difficult. Then it just varies. But I have a certain system the way I do. And the best way for me to do, sometimes I just know the themes, what I'm talking about. I go up here, take my hair comb and just pretend that I'm already in front of people. And then I would go, so this, like this theme about cats, like cats and dogs, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, did I forget? Oh, okay, need to look it up. Okay, that's what it does. And then I go back to it. So that's what works for me the best.
Do you look in the mirror when you do that?
No.
You just okay, got
just
it.
picturing people, faces, or whatever.
So that is the same process that I think is important for acquiring a language. That's how kids learn a new language. They just see and they hear their parents speak it and they mimic it. And through that mimicking, you start to get it. So what I do is I work with my clients and I figure out what they want in life that's important, whether it be a date, whether it be start a business, whether it be like get their Instagram going, what have you, like just what is important to you. And then I start putting them into situations that are stressful, not like overly stressful, but enough stressful that they're like, I don't want to fucking do this. And then support them into going there, making videos online in English. One of my favorite clients she's an artist from Latvia. Oh no, from Lithuania. Sorry. From Lithuania. This beautiful woman, and
What's her name?
Her name is Sandra.
Sandra, okay.
What's her Instagram? It's like Sandra. I forget.
Sandra from Lithuania.
Yeah, she's a really cool woman, and she came to me because she wanted to speak English because she was getting like her artwork is amazing. She's a painter, and she wanted to go and be interviewed. And she always said no to interviews.
Oh, wow.
So like she wasn't getting the exposure for her artwork. Anyhow, I worked with her, we spoke, I got her to do all these different like things on her Instagram, posting in English, speaking about the things that were important to her. And the last assignment in the coaching that I gave her, I was like, now it's time for you to start your own English speaking podcast.
Oh, wow.
I was telling you a little bit about it earlier and about anyhow, doesn't matter.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but now she doesn't need me. Like now, like I taught her how to fish on her own. Now she goes and she literally on a weekly basis seeks out English conversations with people that fascinate her. So if we're in a moment that is, yesterday I got in a fight with a guy, or like a yelling match with a guy in Russian, and the women that were watching were like, wow, your Russian's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, especially when I'm emotional, because you get out of your head, you're in your body, you know, your adrenaline's flowing, and I'm like, you know, and I'm speaking, and we have to get into that situation. The same thing with performing. Right? Like if you do enough work, that's what I love about performing, is if you do enough work to take the information and do that associated memory, there's also those moments that you forget. But because you have associated memory, there's that kinesthetic remembrance. You're literally remembering in real time what you have to say. And for the audience, they see real life happening, as opposed to somebody who's just like brilliantly like good at memorizing but has no life in it. It's like that moment of, I remembered it. Like there's this little
no, that's huge. I mean, like, I haven't done much of acting training, but I've done some. And some of that stuff, like one example is, it was incredible. So I would learn this monologue from American History X, which is like one of the craziest films out there. And the monologue goes when this kid just got shot, and he's like kind of thinking in his head how he would be talking about. And it starts with, what is hate? Hate is a baggage, or something like that. And then I would go to, and I had this really amazing American coach. He was old school, from New York, and like his methods is just nuts. So I would do my monologue, and he's like, Renars, that was pretty good, but let's try something. So we changed the rooms. We went to this room where it's like no furniture, just one chair. He sits me in a chair, and he says, put your hands behind the chair, get them close in, and now close your eyes. Imagine that you're gonna be killed in like next 10 minutes. So it's like in prison when you're gonna be executed, basically, yeah. And this monologue is the last thing you're ever gonna say. And then in that moment, just thinking about that, my monologue was, I was crying, the snot was coming out from everywhere and everything, and like then at the end he got up and he was applauding me, and it's like, now this is what I'm talking about. And I was like, and I couldn't believe that I can get that, because what happens, you take the feeling of that, you know, like also he would always say, like, think about your family, how that makes you feel, or thinking about people you love, how that make you feel, and now say that, and now say the same sentence. Huge difference. But yeah. But so that's acquired English. That is really cool stuff. And then two more things. And it started with acquired English, and then you got to further helping a man and helping female.
Yeah, so I'm working with women on basically like how to love themselves, especially Russian women, because like what's happening is there's so much identity that has to do with like, oh, if I don't have a partner, I'm not myself.
Right.
So I think that every woman deserves to, first of all, love herself, understand what she is capable of in this world, and not have to associate that specifically with I am worthy of being a good person based on like I got a good partner. Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So the processes are similar because it's all about like finding self-confidence. It's like, okay, who are you? What are you? And then like digging deep and being able to ask yourself the questions that are important to yourself. What do you want to do with your life? What's the most important thing for you? Why, like, how do you see yourself? Like so much of our culture is all about like running after the money tree. What would happen if you had all the money in the world? How would you spend your days? Like knowing you, it would probably be similar to what you do already,
exactly.
Right? So like I still have to check myself on that. I still find myself like, oh man, I really need to get shit going. I'm like, wait a second, do I? Maybe not. Like maybe what I'm doing is good. And maybe part of that is also like living in the spiritual community of Ubud of like, wait a second, like when I'm in my parasympathetic, when I'm in my spiritual, when I'm in my relaxed state, I'm more effective than when I'm like pressuring myself into like, and that's a lot of the work that I do with them. There's a lot of layers to it. There's something called emoting. There's something called like I want them to write. I want them to explore themselves. I want them to reflect on what's going on. And I want them to also discover their own personality, because a lot of like, not even about women, it's like relationships in general. We meet somebody, we're like attracted to them, we're like, you know, like I want some of that. Tingle. And we start to behave like we think they want us to behave. So slow the fuck down. Learn how to fall in love. so you're not getting hooked in to like we all get addicted to like that adrenaline and that like endorphins of sex and the serotonin of sex. And then when we get past the sex, we start realizing, oh, this is who this person is at the end of the day. And then what happens, I mean, it depends. Like I'm, talking to a guy, that like Renardis who just wants to go bang sometimes.
Hey, no. It's
I don't
all
know.
about making friends first. This is the thing what I can add straight away from my perspective. Like I've been through the phase of getting let's get laid and stuff like that. But then for now, like more and more I understand it's all about, it sounds very like lovey-dovey, but if I don't like that person as a friend, I don't even go any further. And like and having that experience of just having one night stands, like even with like the hottest girl ever, whatever, it usually 95% it's unfulfilling and it doesn't feel good afterwards.
Exactly. And the thing that comes up a lot when I speak to my clients, I'm like listening to their behaviors and I'm like, okay, interesting. And then I ask them this question: are you looking for a long-term relationship? And they're like, yes. And as soon as we start to think about the fact that we're looking for a long-term relationship, the way we behave changes right away. The goal isn't to just hook somebody in and get codependent on them so that we don't lose them tomorrow. But that's how we behave a lot of times. It's like, oh my God, I found somebody who's attractive and somebody that's so cool. How do I hold on to them? Like that is, right? Yeah. So it's like, yo, slow down. Take your time. Let's see if this person has credibility. Let's see if and let's see if you have credibility. Let's see if this person has the capacity to hold your space when you're freaking out and allow you and them to have a conversation where you can like problem solve together, right? That's when things shift. I had a conversation with a client recently where I was like, well, give me your checklist. She's like, I got a checklist. I know exactly what I want in a man. I'm like, give me your checklist. And she gives me her checklist. And like her checklist is like things like, I want him to be tall. I want him to be rich. I want him to be funny. I want him to be to be ambitious. I want him to be. And I'm like, okay, now tell me like about this guy that you're dating right now. And she's like, well,
Is that your phone?
No. Oh shit, is it? It is my phone. That's the alarm set. Anyhow, sorry about that. Imagine that happened on the Joe Rogan show.
Oh shit, he would kick your ass. He
Would
would
he?
do a kimura on your dick.
I would not like the Kimura. I know how to get out of the Kimura actually.
There you go.
The hitchhiker one. Like,
Yeah. How long you been doing BJJ now?
I started in April.
Yeah, I saw you like
Fucking
because
loved
like in Ubud, I think Annabelle, she's going there to teach there. I know her
She
very
was.
well.
She's not anymore, but she was. It was really good.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, sorry, you go back to
So anyway,
Love
like
and
when
stuff.
we took a look at her checklist, and I'm looking
Oh,
at her
yeah.
checklist, and I'm like, the only thing that you know about this checklist, about this guy that you're hanging out with, that's for sure, is he's tall. Because you haven't taken the time to get to know him. He's funny? She's like, but he's funny. He's interesting. He's charismatic. I'm like, you know him for one day. He's in his fucking like good mode. What is he like in a month?
Yeah.
What is he like
yeah.
when times are tough? So far, all you know about him is he's tall. So just like let everybody like calm down, relax, and know that there's a process to creating real, true connection. So that's one of the things that
Well, I love this example. I used to watch this TV series, How I Met Your Mother, and they have this concept about like the group of friends, they would accept a new whatever future girlfriend that someone else is bringing in or boyfriend, when then they would say like, and they had this conversation, and the guy or girl would say like, so what do you think about my new date? And one of them would be always saying, I don't see her or him on the porch as like our porch buddies. And what they say by that is that when we're old, we're going to sit on the porch and we're just going to, solve puzzles or whatever. Are we going to like each other still? So it takes that next level. Yes, you see someone physically attractive and all these other things. But when you talk to them, the good one is like, turn the light off. Nothing is, you can't see anyone, and you just talk for an hour, talk for 2 hours. Do you still have fun? Can you amuse each other? And obviously not just for one night, but like for a week, for 2 weeks. Do you still guys have fun? Do you still challenge each other? That's the biggest one. And especially for me, like if a person doesn't challenge me, I'm done. It's like
Yeah, but you want the challenge to also happen in a way that like you feel supported. You don't.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Russian girls can fucking like challenge you.
Yeah, oh shit! It's like you suck in everything. Okay, okay.
Look at you. Your father's a bitch.
Piece of shit. But yeah, okay, cool. So that's what you do with women and men as well.
I do that mostly with women right now. Yeah, like that's it. It just was a natural progression. And I'm happy to do it with men because what I realized, especially in the Russian market, is that women aren't happy, and men are playing this role. It's like it's not only the Russian market; it's happening in every market. We're
well, that's great because you can get the insight from women, and then it's easier for you to deal with men because men would be like, so why do they do this and why do they do that? And
But
it's like,
I also think in addition is like it's only cool to talk as a man about women if it's like, yeah, I want to get laid. You know, like it's like where's the conversation of I want to have a relationship. I want to meet somebody who's going to make me a better person, who's going to like really support me in my growth. Where is that conversation?
check this out. I just thought about something. Can you imagine if every time you get laid, you actually would have a child? How much different would be the sex game, the relationship game? And you get a child, and you have to be there, supported.
That's what it kind of used to be
Yeah.
until birth control.
No, but check it. But also then before that, it was also about the properties and all that kind of shit.
Right.
You know. But if you think about it, you can have sex with this person, and there's gonna be a child.
That would change a lot.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, like in the moment of sex, you wouldn't care.
Oh my god.
It's after. It's when you're done, you're like, oh.
Say it again. Say it again.
Well, let's say, like, let's be honest. In the moment of sex, you wouldn't care. Nice. Nice. I want to get one of those toys.
I have also. That's the most of a time when you say jokes.
Yeah. I like.
And now Lorenzo is gonna tell us how the love works.
Love is something that happens moment by moment. Love is kind of like enlightenment in the sense that in any moment you can love anybody. In any moment you can be open to accept. That's like, we're done. We're done.
I just sorry, buddy. Okay,
I
so
want one of those. Where do you get those?
this place called Internet. Okay.
I love that place.
Yeah. Let's check out your stuff. What is this? What is this? Tell us what is it going to be before I start playing it.
I've been doing spoken word poetry.
Have you done any Toastmasters before?
No, I've never done.
You never heard of Toastmasters?
I've heard of it, but I've never done it.
Yeah, because I've done Toastmasters for a while, and I heard of spoken word. Really know what. Can you explain to me what spoken word is?
I loved rap music growing up, and I started going in Vancouver. They had an amazing spoken word scene. So I started writing poetry and performing, and I was like, oh man, this is really hard because there were some people that were so brilliant at it and made a career out of it, and I just. So anyhow, something that I started doing and that led me to freestyle rapping a little bit. When I got into comedy here in Bali, I started realizing two things. Comedy's hard. And I was doing it in both English and Russian. When I was doing it in English, I realized it's hard. And because it's hard, I need to get better at it. To get better at it, I need to do more often. But I wasn't talking about the things that I wanted to talk about. There was because the idea and the intention is to be funny, but you're not good at it. You end up making a lot of dick and poo and sex jokes.
Yes and no. I can agree and disagree with that because dick and poo, that's very cheap shots. Most of the comedians who use most of that stuff, that's cheap shot. There are some guys like even here, like Carlos is a perfect example. Well, he had some about dicks as well, but his most stuff is very intelligent. It's like very like David Chappelle, you know, that kind of concept, very intelligent comedy. So it could, if you work on it, I just want to encourage you, continue doing stand up, you know, and I think those stories what you have from like spoken word, I think you can change them in a satiric way and still make a comedy.
That's what I realized. And the other thing is I was doing stand up and hosting in Russian, and I just realized that like culturally I wasn't funny. Like I'm good at holding space, getting the energy up and down, introducing people, but culturally there was I was not talking about the things I wanted to talk about, but I couldn't get off stage. I knew that I needed to keep performing, and I was like, oh shit, I'm going to these open mics or this poetry, and I think you're right. I think that if I continue doing this, and as I continue doing this, is going to, like, it's funny too in some ways. I just go to open mics whenever they're around. The thing is, I live in Ubud now, right? And I fucking love it there, and I don't ever want to go anywhere, because you were just talking about spoken word, and it's like, I was saying to you before we started recording, is that it's so cool to see how the comedy scene here in Canggu has just blown up. I just live a really healthy life right now. Like when I was living in Canggu, I wasn't living a healthy life. And there's a part of me that just wants to, like, how cool would it be to just focus on comedy all the time? Like, especially having all these opportunities to perform. You can get good. You can move to Bali and you can become from zero to an intermediate good stand-up comic in probably 6 months to a year.
I agree and disagree in the same time. I think, like, right now what we have, the main reason why comedy is blowing up, in my opinion, is because Comedy Club has a very strict structure, and people are working and doing their rehearsals and everything. But in the same time, I think the biggest problem is that it's pretty much the same audience all the time here.
Yeah,
so that is a big problem. And I think what would work perfectly, if this would be like, I would call it a gym. So every week we work on new materials and trying out with our audience. And our audience here, and especially like in Deos, they're so lovely. Like very rarely. Sometimes you hear someone is shit and they still support them. And,
but you don't get the opportunity to perfect material by doing it over and over and over and over and over again. That's what you're getting to.
Well, no, but we have new material all the time.
But like, I get that you have new material all the time, but I'm not talking about new material. I'm talking about taking like the classic material and working it and working it and working it until it gets to like this like really crystal place.
What I think is much better would be, I think that camera just died. Let me check. Let's finish this one.
We were talking about comedy. That's the thing. And we were talking about like how to develop in Bali. And you said you didn't agree that this was a great place to develop.
I think you can get to the certain level, but then I think you will be kind of stagnating. And again, it could be the truth or maybe not. But all I'm saying that in order to become a good in anything, you have to be going in different places and performing in front of all sorts of crowds. Because this crowd we have in Bali is quite the same. And like you can go also with the local jokes and stuff as well, and what is so relatable. But I'm talking about now, if you take this comedy to UK, you're going to suck big time. Like there's certain things, like, because we had a couple of days ago, we had this girl who was a British, she used to do comedy in Britain, and she was like, yeah, this probably not most likely wouldn't work in the UK. So what I'm saying is like to adapt to different places that you can be, you know, credible everywhere.
It's such an interesting question, because like we're not really living in a traveling culture right now at all. And like, what does that even mean? Like, what is the future of comedy? Like, do you have to go to a place like New York, Los Angeles, Austin, London? Like,
well, if the question is that you want to be the world recognized comedian, I'm pretty sure that that's what you should be doing.
You basically have to go to Austin today.
Yeah. What's going on in Austin? Why Austin?
Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay.
And all his crew.
Yeah, the Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise you might want to go to like places like Miami or like Los Angeles or
but
New
at the same
York.
time, it could be not truth. Maybe this is the way I think. I just think in order to be, you know, world level, you should be performing in the world different stages.
There's this guy who's like a marketing guru. He makes a lot of money. His name is Alex Hermosi or something like that. I saw his Instagram post the other day, and in his Instagram post was him speaking to somebody coming up to him and saying, I have $25,000 in my bank account. What should I do with it? Should I invest in crypto? Where should I put it? And he was like, I never had $25,000 in my bank account until I had $1 million in my bank account, because I would take that $25,000 and I would always do it to learning a new skill. So it's interesting that we have this conversation right now, because I'm thinking like, if you want to do something, you should probably be doing it, get to a certain level that I think Bali can take you in terms of learning comedy.
You are building a world.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yep.
Like learning, like getting to a point where you're at a level where you like are competent, and then you want to be like amongst the sharks.
True. I think Bali, hands down, is an amazing place to start. Like the community is fantastic, supportive, and very rarely, I don't know that much, but I don't think there's places where comedians come together and they rehearse together. I don't think that's a very thing what happens in UK. Not that I know of. But the way it works here, especially with the up and coming comedians who are not very sure, sometimes I write my material, I go and I think it's pretty good, and then I pitch to everyone else, and they're like, that doesn't work. It's not gonna work. You have to be careful with that and stuff like that. So, and then when I take all those advices on the board and then I go on stage, yes, you know, it really helps. But when do we start realizing what is our style? I don't know how long the time takes. I've done so far maybe 25 performances. So, yeah, I'm not really sure.
I think a more interesting question is really what the world looks like right now.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Like, is comedy a thing anymore? Like, it is on some level, but like, what does the world look like? Like, in terms of, because you were saying when we stopped recording, like how amazing it would be, and this makes sense in 2019, like to go to Singapore, to go to Bangkok, to go to Hong Kong. Like, all of a sudden you have a little circuit here that you can see potential for it to grow. There's definitely expat markets for English speakers. You can get all the way down to Sydney for it. You can become a world renowned, like you can use this as a marketplace. You can't do that now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, well, hopefully things are going to change soon, but doesn't look like.
Yeah.
It's going to do it online. Okay, we are close to our last segment, and last segment is about educating people and stuff, and not educating people, just start talking about book club. I love the whole concept of book club, and the books, what you suggested to me, where... I'm going to find it. We can start talking about straight away The Beach.
The Beach.
The Beach is the book which I did not know, and I was trying to do an audio version, and it was a little bit of a struggle.
Why?
So why did you choose as one of your 3 books was The Beach?
Because I read it.
Those are the only 3 books you've ever
It's
read.
the only 3 books I've ever read in my entire life. I just remember The Beach being something that shifted me in my life.
Right.
It really shifted me. It was a book that I read when I was in my early 20s. Later, Leonardo DiCaprio played the lead character in that book. It was about travels, which I look at that book and I'm like, man, like a lot of my life looks a little bit like that. It was an American kid that went traveling, went on an adventure, ended up in Thailand, ended up on an island, ended up in some kind of community. There ended up being all these kind of like love triangles involved there that were really uncomfortable as a kid to read. Like here it was hooking up with Richard's girl, and you know there was marijuana and there was like murder, but not too much murder. It was, and then all of a sudden he got like he was out of the Matrix, and then he got thrown back into the Matrix at the end. And this is before I knew what the Matrix was. It's just a book that I've read that whenever anybody asks me what's your favorite book, it's kind of like the go-to answer. I don't know if it's necessarily true or not, but it's the go-to answer. The movie was also a beautiful movie. I mean, from what I remember.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never seen the movie. And then I think the easiest would be watch a movie first and then we'd do audiobook or read a book. But in the same time, I kind of disagree to that because book gives you this whole place for you to use your own imagination, to use your own kind of how would you see that. And an audiobook wasn't probably the best choice for me now because I would be like on a scooter riding somewhere and like jumping off and turning it on, turning it off.
Have you ever listened to an audio book that was a novel? Like usually,
yeah, it's difficult.
It's a different, it's a different ball game.
Yeah. When you do like self-development books and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're just taking information.
Yeah, no, I think the stuff what I took it from it, like it was quite graphic the way they were telling the certain things were happening, and the way the writer was looking. What was the writer's name?
Alex Garland.
Yeah. So the way he wrote it, I thought it was pretty interesting, and yeah, the whole thing on an island, how these relationships and who said what and who, and then the book, the narrator did the accents of because they were people from Scotland, there were people Americans,
right.
And I think in my brain the most was stated is that these 2 Americans, they would pretend that they're like dumb American kids, and then afterwards they like actually show that they're intelligent just to prove like just to say like, listen, don't stereotype people kind of thing.
Interesting.
And then there was this French girl and the reader guy.
Francois or something.
He was doing her accent and stuff like that. That was pretty funny. Okay, so we have 2 more books which I read one of them I read, and both of them I heard twice as an audio version. And actually, especially A Way of Superior Man, that's a book which has been suggested by 2 other people I know here in Bali. So it feels like all the men here are like reading that book, and it's leaving a lot of impact. And to me, I thought it was very good. So tell me, what did you choose that?
Way of Superior Man, I was introduced to it back in 2007, so I've been aware of that book for a super long time, but it always it always makes its way around back, especially when you're talking to men. I think that it's a very spiritual variation of like a lot of the teachings that are becoming really important right now. So like the Tantra community and the spiritual community was looking at these things like masculine and feminine energy, where now you have somebody like Jordan Peterson or somebody like other like people are just like, okay, what does it mean to be a man? We are losing our testosterone in this world because like Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. We are losing this opportunity that we have had to be these warriors because we are making a way to be like the nice guy in this new culture. And it's really fucked up culture in general, because women, as they're becoming more and more successful, they're still looking to date up. Like it's just like natural, like genetics, that like a woman wants to date a man that's going to take care of her. And with men kind of like now being demasculinized, we're like becoming like, you know, like nicer and better, and like, and a lot of times less successful because of that, because there was a masculine trait to like be ambitious and push forward. And it's becoming a lot of problems in society because women aren't finding partners. Men also aren't finding partners because men like to date down, like down, not like a worse person, but down in terms of social economic status. But so many women are like now like the prize winners and the academic geniuses, and we just messed it all up. And this book, it takes us back to the just like the basic essence of this conversation, so we can take it away from the identification with I'm a man and I'm a woman, or, you know, it's more like, okay,
I'm a woman.
I'm a man. I'm a woman. There we go. Thank you. Back to understanding that masculinity and femininity, they are what I would call an essence or an energy. And like we all inhabit these traits, what it means to be masculine, what it means to be feminine. A man can be sensitive. A woman can be ambitious. Yet in the core, there are still the things that are most true to us. And by understanding this and having this at least at the level of conversation, we can start to find a balance to them. So, and then that's a lot of the work that I do with the people that I work with too. I just have them become aware of these things and then implement them. And
no, that's great. I found this book is something what definitely changes our society and also explains certain things what people struggle with. Like, so how do we deal with you know, very, very strong women who are like, I don't need men in my life, I can do this all by myself, or whatever, or then how you said this demasculinizes men as well. It's like, well, but this is what society says, this is how we have to be. And then there's some men become these fake feminists as well, but I'm like, I'm feminist man with you guys. It's just interesting. Definitely interesting book to read, and you know, the idea of this is to suggest people to check it out.
Check it out. It's a great
definitely
book.
Check it out, and understand also like how like it explains these certain feelings. Like, well, as a man, I was like, I feel this way, I feel that way. Is that wrong? Is this right?
There's also a good book. There's also a good book that the author, I forget his name, Stefan something, he wrote. It's called Hard Times Creates Strong Men. And he uses a lot of this book in a more modern perspective. So that's another one. Yeah.
Okay. And then the third book was Awaken a Giant Within. And that book is pretty much like the basics for everything almost. It's like just to say to everyone, you have a giant inside you. You have a potential. And I remember I would go back home to Latvia, to my little town where I was raised, and I would go to school and actually arrange with my English teacher. I would arrange like these little meetups with the kids, especially the ones who are about to graduate, and just to kind of try to say, listen, guys, you know, all of us, we have a potential. It doesn't matter where you're from, and it's just there's certain ways we can open it, and the main one is consistent work and stuff. So yeah, this book was very, very big for me. I read it a while ago now as well.
Same. I remember from that book, Anthony Robbins saying, "If you can't, you must, and if you must, you will."
Mm.
I really like that. I
Wow.
mean, that was a really an amazing book. That really shifted my life. I remember being towards the end of at the end of a relationship that was heartbreaking. That really shifted my social life when I was living in Hong Kong. And I read this book, and not only read this book, but I started taking in Tony Robbins. This was like the beginning of YouTube, just like watching YouTube videos, motivational videos of him speaking, like going deep on it, and it really shifted, really created a plateau for me and a platform.
What about speaking? Do you have you considered to do like public speaking in the sense of like inspiring speaking?
Yeah, but how would you do that? I've done it. Like as a yoga teacher, that's exactly what I do. I might just say down dog, and then I'll go and talk. That's what I do basically. How would you do it in terms of like becoming a speaker?
That's
I'll do
true. That is true. I mean,
write
like
a
you
book-
start, you know,
write a book first.
because one of the my guests, he's done some TED Talk speeches, and we met each other in Toastmaster Club, and he's been doing a lot of public speaking since. Like he would be
Like even now,
even now.
like online speaking now.
Well, I think like in the UK, it's pretty safe
Okay.
now to do all of those things.
All right.
It's not too bad. And he said that one of the ways how he got on TED Talks was not like someone found him. He literally applied himself to like 5 or 6 different conventions.
And they were finally like, yeah.
And then they were like, and then okay, now he can do this. And now he for a living, that's when I think that's all he does. He used to work for a law company. But he goes to these companies like corporates, and then he does the speeches and about different subjects.
Cool.
So I'm pretty sure you would be very good at it. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I mean, that's what I love to do in general. Like the poetry's in that direction, and everything I talk about, and the yoga, it gives me all kinds of exercises. I
Yeah,
think
and that guy also became a yoga teacher, and he said like he actually suggested to me the book Warrior's Pause. I think it's called Warrior's Pause. It's about this guy who broke his back.
The Peaceful Warrior, Daniel Millman.
So how did you say it?
The Peaceful Warrior.
The Peaceful Warrior. Not
No?
sure. I think it was
Okay.
Warrior's Pause. It's basically about this guy who was this very famous, very well known journalist who was traveling the world, and he was like in these very hot areas of the war zones and all that stuff. And he just did a stupid thing, and he fell on his back, broke it,
Fuck.
but didn't really do anything about it. So he still could move around, and he went heavy on painkillers. And in a certain period of time, he got addicted to it really bad, and then he hurt himself again, where he couldn't move at all. And they literally took him to a rehab because his family was like, "That's it, to the rehab. Stop it, stop." Such an ass.
At least your name's spelled right. I just looked over. I'm like, I kept looking at how you wrote Moses, and I'm like,
That's from me. That's my
I
notes.
know, but I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I've never, like, it looks cool, and I was like, I've never seen anybody write it like that before, and I didn't even think of it, and then I saw how you wrote Kanye West, and I'm like, okay.
Oh my god, I'm gonna edit this out. I never edit stuff out, but I'm gonna edit this out. No, I won't. And yeah, so what I was talking about. Oh god, I'm on detox on my 3rd day. I'm just
What are
drinking
you eating?
juices and soups. Like my brain doesn't work properly.
Bro, I fucking love detox.
Yeah,
I
that's
live
what
on that
happened with
shit.
me when I was trying to give a comment to that video. It's just went. What I was saying. What was I saying?
You were saying that,
Jamie, what did I say?
that he's a public speaker, and he started as a yogi, and
Oh yeah. And then basically he got to his family was very worried about him, and they got the intervention, and they got him to a rehab, and like proper like getting rid of all the pills and everything. But he was in a crucial pain. He was like dying, and then he found that they had a special program where they do like as a retreat. They did the yoga, and he got into that, and he became crazy about it, and he literally healed himself, so fixed his back, and then he got cancer. He got rid of cancer and all that stuff. So yeah, you should check it out. Warrior Pose.
Warrior
Yeah.
pose.
Yeah.
Warrior pose.
Warrior Pose. Like
Got it. Got it.
yeah, and so cool, awesome. That's books. Let's talk films now. Did not have time to watch Few Good Men, Field of Dreams.
Or the Obama deception. Deception. The Obama deception, like Barack Obama.
Okay, Few Good Men. Next time I have to be careful with my homework. Jesus Christ, I can't put this on the screen. Yeah, so Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. That's Tom Cruise, who I loved as a kid growing up, and Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth.
Oh, okay, I remember this one. That's the Tom Cruise was playing
Colonel
the
Taffy.
like a lawyer who
Yes,
was like
yes, with the Navy.
yeah.
I love that movie.
You can't handle the truth.
I did a play of that movie. Well, of that the play of the play Once Upon a Time. But I always loved that movie. Always loved. I loved Tom Cruise growing up. He was just like playing like.
It was sick, yeah.
It was so cool.
And like when I finally actually worked with him on a set, and it was like he called my name.
Oh really?
Yeah.
He's like, Renars, get
Yeah.
over here. You're in Scientology.
No, no, not like that. So basically, what we did Mission Impossible, the one which was released, and not the one which is about to be finished. And so like 4 years ago, and there was a scene where basically I need to come in as a baddie to attack Tom Cruise and this girl. And so this girl, she basically turns around and she slashes my face with a knife. And so we couldn't get the timing right, because as I was walking in, because she can't see me, so she kind of, someone told her, oh, when this guy does this when you turn around. Every time she did, whether I was too early or was too late. And then Tom, he was like, okay, this is it. And he's like, Renars. And he looks at me, Renars. Yeah, we never spoke before, and he knows, yeah, it's a freaky thing about him. He knows all the names. Every time he gets on set, if he works with the stunt guys, he knows the names. So he looks at me, he's like, Renars, listen, so let's do this. When I give you this look, and he would just kind of like that. So if that's your
Like
cue,
the Tom Cruise look.
that's the cue for you to come in. So he literally like talks with this actress that does the thing, and then he gives me this look, like this piercing look across the room, and then I'm coming, and that's why coming out, and we got the shot, and caught, and I'm on the floor dead, and then he comes over, extends his hand like, oh Renars, you see, like if we work on it, we get this done. You know, I was like, it was very professional, efficient, and anytime.
Is he genius? Like from that moment, were you like, whoa, this guy is genius, or were you like, just another human being? Like, what did you like? He is my idol from the beginning, and that is like the dream. It would be a dream come true to get to be in a room with him.
Well, first of all, when he gets on the set, this is the thing with any stars. Like I had the most starstruck I've ever been. I worked with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And with Samuel L. Jackson, like Ryan Reynolds, with Ryan I was quite starstruck as well. He would. There was a scene where they shoot me and they step over, cut. He comes back, he extends his hand. It's like, oh, are you okay? Like, oh, my name is Ryan. I was like, oh, my name is Renars. Nice to meet you. I was like, I wanted to say like, what is your name? Well, is it Ryan? Oh, no.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. But so yeah, with all these stars, that's the thing. You don't know what kind of a face they're putting on when they're on the set. You know, like they could play the nice guy the whole time and whatever, just because they're so aware that there are hundreds extras around, and then some of them would see something and they write something about them and things like that. So with Tom was like when he stepped on the set, everyone went silent. Because everyone knew. That's one thing. But the other thing, everyone knew it's business time. It's like now.
He's a producer too.
Let's cut
right?
the shit. Yeah. Well, it's his like Mission Impossible, his baby. And, you know, he's not just an actor on it. So all these decisions what they were making about the film was with the director. So usually the director calls the shots. But then there's certain things. Then Tom goes like, and he talks to the director, and then they make the decision together. So yeah. But yeah, what I got from him there, it was just like he was very professional, done his thing, very efficient, no fucking around. If he would hear someone talking loud or whatever, like straight away would be told off and stuff like that. But I would be very curious to have Tom as a real person, to like me and you just talking, but also probably with cameras, it wouldn't be a real person. That's the problem, you know. And it's tough business because you play, you know, according to the rules of the game. You can't just go and blah, like me, like I don't care, you know.
Right.
Well,
Well, I mean,
I don't have million followers or whatever, like, but for someone like Dwayne or for someone like Kevin Hart, like these big stars, like Kevin Hart, who got in trouble and he couldn't host the freaking Oscars because long time ago he did this gay joke, you know, and it's like stuff like that. It's
We're fucked. Like we're fucked if we ever get to that level of stardom. We're fucked.
Okay, I went a little detour there. So A Few Good Men, very fantastic film with Tom Cruise. Field of Dreams, is that the one where where it's like you build it and they come?
Yeah, if you build it, they will
Yeah,
come.
that
Kevin
was a sick
Costner.
film.
That is a sick film. I love baseball. I'm a huge baseball
Oh yeah,
fan.
you used to play. What is the difference between softball and baseball?
Baseball, well, softball is like a big ball, and like they pitch underhand. It's like a kid's version. Not that now there's like a professional variation, and like but they play with a big ball, and everything's a little bit shorter and stuff like that. Like in terms of distances and stuff like that. Baseball is like a smaller ball. Everything's bigger. It's like this adult variation, 60 feet, 6 inches to the bases, 90 feet between the mound and home plate, and it's faster. It's just a faster game.
Yeah.
The ball's smaller, harder.
Do you agree when they say baseball, it's more like a skilled-based game instead of like athletic-based game?
Well, that's what
Because-
Joe Rogan says, right?
Yeah,
I
Joe
think
Rogan's
he talked
like-
about that. I remember him saying that.
Yeah, because like if you compare like the physicality of some Greco-Roman fighter or like the wrestlers, who's they literally they stand on their heads and they throw other person around, and then compare it to a baseball.
No, it's definitely a more skilled game. It's a very specific game, but like we're living in an era of everybody wants to play it, so everybody's very athletic these days too. It's not like the old days where the fat guy used to do it. There's still fat guys doing
with the
it.
cigar and the shit.
There's
like,
still fat guys that like like make these appearances, and you're like, oh, okay, but it's less and less happening. I think also because everybody has the ability and facilities to get in shape now. But it's a skill-based game. You have to hit a ball that's being thrown at you anywhere from 65 to 110 miles an hour. Like that's a skill. You have to be able to catch a ball that's coming at you, whether on the ground or in the air. You have to be able to throw a ball. Like it's all skills, right?
well, it's running as well though.
Running also.
Would everyone-
That's the most athletic thing. Maybe the running and the actual the moment of contact of hitting the ball. But like it doesn't matter how strong you are if you don't have history hitting a ball, you're not going to touch it.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool. And so Field of Dreams. Well, it's all about this guy who basically starts seeing these guys appearing, and then they were like, if you build a pitch for us, then we're going to come.
It's a beautiful film because it has to do with the history of baseball, and like the history of baseball is also the history of America, and it has to do with this guy Ray Kinsella. Ray. Remember? And James Earl Jones in that movie too. He's having these dreams about. He's got a house/farm in Iowa. He's supposed to turn his cornfield into a baseball diamond. If you build it, they will come. And then who ends up coming back is his dad. But along with his dad, who comes back, is the 1919 Chicago White Sox, which were known as the Black Sox, because they lost the World Series, but then every single player on that team was eliminated, or what do they call it? Was like eliminated or suspended or lifetime suspension from baseball because they found out that the team threw the World Series.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, listen, this film was quite difficult for me to watch in the sense that I don't know anything about baseball.
That's
like,
hard, man.
yeah, so it's like if you don't know the history and stuff like that. But there are certain things like from acting perspectives and like I remember the most, because I was quite young when I watched this. At the most, what I remember, that idea that people don't believe in you. And then doesn't matter what other people think. If you are convinced that this is going to be successful and it's going to work, then I should just do it. And this is our reality around everything.
Well, it's also the risk.
The truth
risk
of the success.
that he took.
Yeah, because he was losing his farm.
He would
'Cause
lose his
They were
farm
really
because
fucked.
Yeah, and the risk that he took, and like, I think it's like you look at investments and stuff like that. Like you have to take a risk to make money.
Exactly. So that's what I took for it. But and then we have. They're not gonna talk about the third film.
Why not? Why are we going to talk? You tend to stay away from anything controversial. Is that like that's by choice? We don't.
No,
have
actually, I haven't seen this film.
Oh, that's why you don't want to talk. Let me just tell you about it.
Okay.
So you know who Alex Jones is?
Vaguely.
He's like the conspiracy theory guy. It's like, hey, it's Alex Jones. He goes on the Rogan show all the time. He talks like like the reptilians are coming for you.
Okay.
So
That's beautiful.
2008, right before Obama became the president, I just remember like being like so bought into like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Hope. It looked like, yes, this is going to be amazing. I was living in Hong Kong, and I was like, we're going to have a black president. This guy's going to change the world. He's running on change. And then Alex Jones comes out with this movie, The Obama Deception, which actually just tells you that Obama is actually in cahoots with all the bankers, and it's just one big conspiracy theory. And I was like, Wow, wow.
Wait. We have sound for it. No.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like it's like a few days before Obama became the president, and like the entire Western world was like thinking like, now finally we've done it, a black president.
So, but how much of it is the truth? How much is it proven that it's not?
Bro. It's
Bro.
all fucking true. It's all fucking true. Okay,
Bro.
like everything that we like, it's all true. Fucking Obama's
Okay.
a fucking blood drinking adrenochrome guy. Like it's all
Well, that's
true.
one of the things. But for me, I never follow politics, but I watch Joe Rogan once in a while, right? And then Joe would talk about that. You know, actually, whatever Obama done didn't do much.
No, he was
good.
bad. What he
It
was,
really
what he
bad.
was
And
a
then
good front man. He was a good front man.
He was a good speaker.
Yeah, he was a good speaker.
fucking
Like
public
that's why
appearance.
Anthony Robbins would be the best president of all time, because he's the best speaker of all time.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like doing good, he did good for the self-esteem of black people, because they were like finally able to see a leader that was black. But in terms of politically doing anything, that guy is like not a fucking good person.
Right.
That guy's a black.
Okay, the last thing we have is people. Booyaka, booyaka, jungle is massive. That's not a song what Kanye West would sing. But Kanye West is one of your people, Joe Rogan is one of your people, and Moses, with
Yeah.
all three. So which one you start with?
Let's start with Kanye.
Let's start with Kanye. Let's do it.
Well, what do you want to say about him? What do you want me to say about him?
Well,
Why do I like him? Why did I choose him?
yeah, I mean...
I met Kanye once upon a time. That's like that
Oh,
was
that's sick.
that was a really cool experience, actually. Can I tell you the story?
Yeah, of course.
I was in Hong Kong. I go to a concert. It was Kanye's concert. The Neptunes, like Pharrell was backing up. I end up like getting backstage and hanging out backstage, and the backstage was really cool because there was like Andre 3000 from Outkast was there. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen had been there. Like I was hanging out with them, drinking beers and smoking cigarettes. I was like, this is fucking so cool. What's going on right now? Trying to get them to come to my yoga class. They didn't come.
I like how the yoga class drinks beer and smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I was like,
that
so can you
goes
come-
perfectly together.
Yeah, but I don't just come to my yoga class. I also asked Andre 3000, I'm like, you do some hot yoga? Come to my class tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I'm going back to Guangzhou tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I'm not interested. Anyhow, I had a friend. Her name is Anki, and she finally, like right before Kanye's concert, Pharrell was performing, and it was very free. We can go on stage, all the backstage people. So we went on stage and just like hanging out while Pharrell's playing. Like it was such a cool moment, and at the same time it was so casual, like no big deal. And my friend Anki comes up to me. She's an actress model from Germany / Hong Kong, and we just started talking. And as I'm talking to her, like the way that I'm facing you right now, right up comes Kanye and puts his arm around her, and now it's just like he's looking at me, and I'm just like, holy fuck, it's fucking Kanye West. Holy fuck, it's fucking, you know, like I'm like, he's like my height, maybe even like, can't be shorter than me, but he was like my height, and I just remember looking at him, and I was like, man, you're a beautiful man. Like you're just so beautiful. Like I just remember like his like fucking goatee was nice and his skin was good, and he like give me like we gave each other like the bump it. It was such a cool moment. And then no joke, this happens. Girl sees us and starts going, oh my God, it's my yoga teacher. Oh my God. And I was like, in that moment, like in front of Kanye, feeling like I'm the coolest guy in the world.
Is it a true story? Just making this shit up?
100% true story.
That is insane.
100% true story. So I go and talk to this girl because I'm thinking like, she's a fan. I need to deal with her, you know? In front of Kanye. Thinking in my head that Kanye will always be accessible to me. Go and talk to her.
And obviously he's gone.
He's gone, and I never saw him
Don't
again.
turn away from microphone. I told you one
Oh.
thing don't do. You
Well-
were just doing it for the whole story.
I,
No.
did, I did so good. I'm like,
I will
fuck,
need to edit out now your fucking Kanye story.
4 hours. 4 hours of
It was
no
so
mistake.
good.
And then the Kanye story. Anyhow, that's my Kanye
That's a
story.
sick Kanye story.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. But oh my God, it's my yoga teacher. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's the funny
Did
thing.
you use that for stand up?
No, but now
Dude,
that I'm
this
telling it
is a
to
sick-
you, that's a
this is a
funny.
hilarious story. Awesome. Listen, Joe Rogan, we could talk about him for a fucking million years.
So
Like,
we're not gonna.
that guy for me, it's just I don't know, it's just such inspiration in so many ways. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like some of the funny things he was saying. Like, okay, I will tell one thing what he was saying about him. He never could masturbate and come before he would actually have sex with a girl. and that was me.
You could never masturbate and come before he would have sex with the
Yeah.
girl.
And
Like, you couldn't masturbate about the girl until he had sex with her.
No, you can masturbate about anything. You watch erotica, porn, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I could never come. He could never come either.
During masturbation?
No. Yes. So you can't come with just masturbation before you actually had real sex with a woman.
Like in his life.
In his
But
life.
now he can. And
Yeah,
now you can.
No, like, so for me, it was like I could do first time I could ever come was after I actually had sex with my girlfriend at the time.
I think that's like, I think I'm similar actually. I don't remember
Oh
exactly.
fuck, we're not that special anymore.
You-
I thought it was
you-
just me and Joe.
Nobody taught me how to masturbate
Well, my dad sat one day on the edge of my bed and he said,
in Latvia.
"Yeah,
Did he really?
put your dick out."
And
No, of course not.
Here's some olive oil, son.
I will start it up for you. Oh my god,
Gross.
this just got funny.
No, bro, no. Nobody taught me how to masturbate. I remember going to like high school and what have you, and everybody was like, you know, jerk off, you know, like you go, fucking come on the cookie, come on the cookie. My friends, like before I was friends with them, were having like these jerk off parties, and I was like, I was never
Jerk off parties.
Yeah, like apparently they would get together and like watch like porn together, and then they would like all jerk off together. I'm like, I never did that. It's the Jewish kids that went to Jewish day
Oh,
camp.
shit.
It's when they went to Jewish day
You
camp.
guys had like a proper parties there as Jewish kids. I actually
know.
used to work as a performer on bar mitzvahs.
Oh, did you?
I still have a video where I did pole acrobatics from bar mitzvah.
Wow.
It was a very fancy bar mitzvah in the middle of London in a very fancy hotel
Well,
called Barclays.
Okay.
And it was the girl. It was a girl, and she had 4 sisters. They were so beautiful. I was like, wow.
Bat mitzvah. That's called a bat
Yeah, bat
mitzvah.
mitzvah. Sorry, bat mitzvah. Yeah, for girls it's bat mitzvah, for boys bar mitzvah. And those girls were gorgeous. It was, yeah. I was like, what is the deal? People say that Jewish people are not that pretty.
Well, when they're like London affluent Jewish people,
Yeah.
that you're talking about like the 1%. You're not talking about
There's
Jews.
dude, I did my bike driving license. I remember I would go practice, and there's an area where only like super Orthodox Jews live.
Yeah, not so pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, some might be. You just can't tell based on what they're wearing. Smell like moths.
What kind of Jewish person you are? Well, how do you say it properly? What kind of Jewish you are?
What kind of Jew are you?
No, but Jew is not right to say. It's not.
Why
It's
not?
not peace. It's not, well, you can say that. I can't say
You
it.
can say Jew.
Can I?
You can say Jew. You already.
No.
First of all, you said Jew is not say. If I said the N word, if I say the N word's not okay to say, right? You could say it. You said it.
Listen, in Latvia, we have Jewish people. Oh my god, I can't
In
go that
Riga
far.
only, and
No,
then
no, no.
and then Yurmalas.
No, Latvia, it's like crazy. Like I remember we went to this cemetery, which happened after the World War II. There's this massive cemetery and stuff. Yeah, we have. Well, actually, one of my uni mates was a Jewish person, but we never really like talked that there's this distinguishing like. It's like people. Like this is the thing. Like
I
only
think
when
that
I kind
like
of
in Europe it's like that. I think that in Canada, like because we all identify even
Yeah,
more, right?
exactly.
But I had a conversation with like a prospective client recently. This woman that's Russian, and she was like, "So I used to have this job and I left it." And I'm like, "Why'd you leave it?" And she's like, "Well, you know about Jewish people, don't you?" And I'm like, "Mm-hmm." She's like, "Well, my boss was Jewish." And I'm like, "Okay." And like I just looked at her and I'm like, "Just want you to know, just like for full disclosure, I'm Jewish."
But it's interesting when it becomes like everyone has to walk on nutshells and stuff. It's just nutshells, eggshells, nutshells, on eggshells about the subjects. Because like in Latvia, literally, none of us like I would say like I'm Catholic, boom. So what do we do now? Or like no one really cared. But it's a funny one. It's like almost ignorance, but it's also like we don't really. Does it really matter? We just all treat each other equally. I don't know.
How did Joe Rogan get us to Jews?
I don't know.
Because we didn't even get to Moses yet.
No.
You were saying that you used to dance. for
Oh no,
Jews.
it was because I was masturbating and I couldn't come, and then you start talking about
Bring it back. Bring it
Jewish
back.
kids hanging out and masturbating together.
Dude, I remember like being on like Jewish trips with like girls like on the bus, like meeting like girls like for the first time and being like, oh, we're Jewish, okay. Like before the Jewish girls like
Represent.
yeah, like before the Jewish girls, like there was like a different level of attraction. Once the Jewish girls were in the house, I was like, okay, now I'm amongst my own. And like I remember being on a bus ride for like 10, 12, something like that, 24 hours with a girl and like fucking like
Itching.
blue balls, and then like finally like just like like just coming, like not being able to control it. That
Oh,
was
wow.
way before my masturbation.
That's crazy.
I don't even masturbate anymore.
Yeah, wait. Let's just stop this because I think the cameras need to be charged. So the last thing, when Lawrence was saying that doesn't masturbate anymore. Why don't you masturbate anymore?
I'm like, I've been really doing my best to be able to, what we say, contain my seed, you know, like take that energy and that's, well, if you have masturbate too long, that sound is how it comes out.
Oh. Okay, masturbation, Jewish people. Well, yeah,
Circumcised penises.
circumcised penises. Yeah. Did you, when you grow up, like, did you kind of talk to your dad, like, Dad, I didn't even have to say in whether to get masturbated or not.
Masturbated or circumcised.
I need some food. I'm dying. Oh my God.
We'll get you a banana shortly, young man. I have some spirulina in the fridge.
I have some smoothie there. Okay, we need to wrap. We need to finish this. Okay, Joe Rogan. So the reason I like the guy, he's fucking amazing. I love that he's a pioneer for podcast. I love the concept that he does the variable variety of things, and he basically says that he feels like he has a sickness of that. He just does so many different things, and he doesn't know when to stop. And I can totally relate to that. And I think like if he wouldn't become a martial artist, he would definitely be a good stuntman because he likes different things to do. But what he does is just representing that like you can do all sorts of things. He's very, very, very busy, you know. But I would love to, which I'm doing pretty much already. So because of he actually inspired me to do BJJ, inspired me to do stand up and podcast. It's like, what else can I say? So yeah, that's me.
Nice.
Why you like him?
I love his podcast. I love that he talks about all the things that we talked about today. Like he's like a dude, like he's a masculine dude that has
Meathead,
this, like,
they call it. In States.
well, meathead, but that has this like sensitive way of going about him too. He talks about
100%.
things that, and I think that all of a sudden, all the things that I was interested in, from keto to cold water plunge to self-development to
All of them.
comedy to, I mean, jujitsu I started doing because of him too. I was living in Russia and watching his podcast and just being like, I want to smoke a joint and hang out with my friends and just talk. Like I really wanted to have that kind of camaraderie in my life. His voice is just a big voice. I don't necessarily like. I also have criticism of him lately, like in terms of he's such a powerful man, and I can only imagine what it's like when you have so many people listening to you and you have so much attention on you. I feel like he's smarter than he lets on about many things, and we don't have to get into that because that could be a whole other conversation. But I really appreciate his interview style. I really appreciate that he's a 54-year-old man that feels young. Like there's something about him that feels very young.
I also think that share of those advices and just to share that he's like, we all can be healthy. We all can live longer. We all can have a better life. And I love that every time he has a guest, he's like, oh, I'm going to give you this juice. I'm going to give you that stuff. I'm going to give you this kind of supplements or whatever. Get in touch with my guy. Get you this coffee. And he keeps saying like, he just loves to be nice. He says it's all about being nice. Which is great.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I dig it.
Sick. We love you, Joe.
Yeah.
One day maybe you
JRE.
see this. We just love you. And then Moses, right next to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that beardy dude? He was the one who started smoking weed, according to Joe
Really?
Rogan. Because Moses was the one who started selling about the plates and stuff and what God wrote on that shit.
The plagues. Yeah.
The plates of the written stuff. And he basically would go to that bush. He was talking about the burning bush. And they were...
You think that was marijuana?
That's what they were saying. They're saying there was some kind of a...
Not DMT?
some kind of thing influenced them. And they would start talking about all this nonsense about God and shit.
Well, I don't know. I just
Shout out to all the religious people.
Yeah,
What's up?
I love Moses. I think like that's like the Exodus story of the Hebrews exiting Egypt has always just been like a narrative that's been big in my life. I always loved as a Jewish holiday when I was more observant or celebratory. I went to Hebrew school and stuff like that as a kid. Like I just love that holiday. I love the movie. There's a movie called 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. There's a great cartoon movie called The Prince of Egypt. That's amazing. Mariah Carey does some music in that. I think there's all
Yeah, I
kinds
think
of
I've seen Prince of
like
Egypt.
I just love the story. I love the story. Like it's a little Buddha-esque in terms of Moses like finding out as a young prince that he's not actually Egyptian, and the slaves are his people. And then like he decides no, and like he goes on his hero journey basically, where he has to confront his father or like the man that raised him and be like, let my people go. You know, like that's something that's amazing. And then after like finally like him and God collaborate on the 7 plagues, and it rains frogs and all the waters turn into blood, and he kills the firstborn of every Egyptian. Then finally Pharaoh's like, just let them go, fine, go. And then I was gonna say the Russians, and then all the the Hebrews,
Vikings
the
come from
Hebrew
nowhere.
after generations. It's crazy. After generations of, was I loud there?
No, it's fine.
After
I just can't hear myself anymore with you. This is the first time when I have such a loud guest. I need to turn your thing down. Especially when you go into fucking beast mode. Generations. What the fuck? Who knows this shit about Moses, man?
after generations.
Is this what they taught you in Hebrew school?
Yes, fuck yeah. After generations of slavery, the Hebrews literally were like packed up and went overnight. Like it was literally like imagine just like living in this place and this is just fucking life and it sucks for sure, but this is it. And then all like overnight, let's get the fuck out of here. Everybody like pack up their cattle,
Boom.
pack up their bags, and they're going and going and going. And then the Egyptians are like, no, you can't go. We changed our mind. And then Moses parts the Red Sea, and the Red Sea opens up. Loud again. I thought you were gonna play some the Red Sea music.
Oh wait. No, there's gonna say that again.
Parts the Red Sea. And then the crazy thing is the Red Sea parts, the Hebrews go through it, and then the Egyptians run right after them into the Red Sea, and then God closes the Red Sea back up.
You know that's a story. It's legend. It never happened. Okay, on this note, I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're babbling here for a while now.
It's still good, though. I feel like our bell curve is like staying up high.
Yeah, I think, Lawrence, it was really nice to actually have you here. How do you say your full name? Lawrence J?
Lawrence J. My actually full name is Lawrence Milman. Lawrence Jacob Milman.
That's your full name, yeah?
Yeah. I go by Lawrence J because I like the Blue Jays.
Oh, do you? And just tell people how to find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Sabaka at LAWRENCEJAY _, or you can go to Lawrence J one word YouTube, or you can just call me. I'll give you my phone number.
Yeah, you can easily do that because there's probably gonna be like 3 people gonna actually call you. I just want to see if it's real.
Yeah, am I not?
And as the last thing I usually ask people, tell me what you would suggest someone who is struggling with, well, you have so many things to tell, but just keep it concise. Ooh, new word. I actually have a YouTube channel where I explain words.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had like 30 words. When the first pandemic happened, I was sitting at home and today we're going to talk about fluorescent or something like that. And I would and I would explain it and then give examples, definition, all that stuff. And I got a lot of subscribers actually.
How many?
From just posting them doing nothing, like 200 something.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. We should do that. Maybe we're
Yeah.
getting more successful. We should do it together.
I would love to do word.
Dude, we could do it together. Word
Yeah.
of the day. But then you have to come to Canggu all the time.
Or you can come to a booth.
I
You're
don't wanna-
leaving anyway.
but I have all the equipment here.
Ridley Scott's movie.
Really, baby. It's going to be fun.
Maybe,
Okay.
Maybe you can put in your rider that you need an assistant or something, and I'll just come with you and like hang out with Ridley.
Yeah, that's how it works. I will tell that I need an assistant and I'm never going to work again, probably.
Okay, so then forget about that. Then I'm just gonna.
Just a couple words of wisdom to our listeners, to someone who is struggling in between, like figuring out what they want to do with their lives, or just suggestions for someone who needs a little push of getting better or getting to their goals.
start getting up early. You got to get up early. I like getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning, even if that's too early. Get up at 6, 7, whatever. Get up early and do a cold water plunge, man. Do a cold water plunge, even if it's hell, because you're gonna have stress and you're gonna have fear around something, but that stress and fear creates a sense of adrenaline, and over time, what happens is you learn how to calm yourself down in the space of fear. So it both is gonna energize you and teach you while you're energized how to stay calm. So do things that shock you, but do them consciously.
Nice one. That's perfect. I can't believe that you just said it like in a very short and very smart way.
Well, that's what you asked from me. You're like,
Yeah, I totally agree with the plunge pool and waking up early. Like this morning, I did swim. I did my fascia pressure point because I need that because I have tight legs and ass. And then I went straight away to yoga, but it turned into capoeira because the yoga teacher bailed. And then I did Muay Thai, and at 10 o'clock I was already in cold bath and doing sauna.
nice. I wake up every morning with like a 6, 7, 8 minute like free. We have a freezer at home.
Oh, that's nice. That's
So
very
fucking cold.
nice. Yeah.
So cool, but it works.
Yeah. Awesome, Lawrence. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here,
you,
man.
Ernest, for the invite.
It was so much fun. I'm probably gonna need to edit like 95% of it, but
Really?
no, I'm gonna leave everything.
Oh,
Everything's gonna be there.
the 8-hour podcast.
Nice one.
Many
With the music, show me your dance. Do you have a dance? Ecstatic dance. How does ecstatic dance? Come on.